Chapter 2576. The man with messy hair suddenly asked Lu Ming if he was from the Heaven Realm, which made Lu Ming's eyes move. You know about the Heaven Realm? Lu Ming asked. Ever since Lu Ming came to the chaotic universe, the people he met didn't call him the Heaven Realm. They just called him the Small Thousand World and called Lu Ming a native. But this man with messy hair knew about the Heaven Realm. Lu Ming was surprised. Because I'm also from the Heaven Realm. The man with messy hair smiled. What? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was really beyond his expectations. To be exact, I'm from the Heaven Realm. But I left the Heaven Realm in the Primordial Age. I don't know how many years have passed. The man with messy hair sighed. He should be someone who reached the demigod realm in the Primordial Age. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. In the Primordial Age, anyone who reached the demigod realm would leave the Heaven Realm and come to the chaotic universe to break through. Lu Ming didn't expect to meet someone from the Heaven Realm here. This might be the reason why the other party killed the horned man and the burly old man. Lu Ming relaxed a little. I'm Song Mo. The man introduced himself and said, I heard that many years ago, the passage between the Heaven Realm and the dark underworld star was sealed. How did you come out? You don't know what happened recently? Lu Ming asked. I don't know. Song Mo shook his head and said, I received an order. The young master of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long, was secretly kidnapped by someone. We were in charge of finding the person who kidnapped Kong Long. I only sensed the strong aura of the Heaven Realm from your body when I saw you. I will never forget it. I see. Lu Ming nodded. It's like this. Then, Lu Ming briefly told him what happened in the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm. I see. I didn't expect so many things to happen in the Heaven Realm. Sigh, unfortunately, we can't protect the Heaven Realm. Song Mo sighed. Senior, why did you join the Yuan Luo Palace when they treated the Heaven Realm so badly? Lu Ming asked. This was also what he found strange. That was why he was still wary of the Song dynasty. Sigh. Song Mo sighed and said, It's all because of the Yuan Luo Hall. The Yuan Luo Palace treated the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm as pastures. They used the divine beasts of the human race as medicinal ingredients to refine medicine. I only found out about this after I left the Heaven Realm. Moreover, in the evil god world of the Heaven Domain and the Primordial Realm, anyone who has reached the half-god realm will be controlled by the Yuan Luo Hall once they step out and come to the dark underworld star. Many restrictions will be placed on their souls, and they can only obey their orders. Otherwise, they will suffer a fate worse than death. At this point, Song Mo's eyes revealed a trace of savagery. Damn it, I can't believe it. Lu Ming also shouted coldly. Since ancient times, almost all the half-gods who came out of the Heaven Realm and the Primordial Realm have been controlled by the Yuan Luo Hall and have become their slaves. If there's anything dangerous, they will send us to do it. If things don't go their way, they will control the restrictions to torture us. And we can't escape at all. Once we leave a certain range of the Yuan Luo Hall, the restrictions will activate and we will suffer a fate worse than death. Song Mo said again. At the end, his voice was filled with helplessness and desolation. Lu Ming's face was also gloomy. He could understand Song Mo's feelings. In the Heaven Realm and the Evil God world, they had reached the half-god realm and stood at the peak. They came to the Eldritch universe with great ambition, wanting to reach a higher realm. But in reality, they had become the Yuan Luo Hall's slaves. How sad was that? You should be cultivating the law system. I have met a few half-gods from the Heaven Realm who cultivated the law system and cultivated a small world. But once they come to the Eldritch universe, the small world will merge with the Eldritch universe after a year. You must escape from the dark underworld star within a year. Otherwise, you will be found by the Yuan Luo Hall's experts. Song Mo said. Senior, do you have any ideas? Lu Ming asked. There are only two ways to leave the dark underworld star. One is to take the Starry Sky teleportation formation. The other is to leave on a Starry Sky battleship. But now, the entire dark underworld star is looking for you. The teleportation formation is guarded by terrifying experts. Once you go, you will be discovered. And a Starry Sky battleship is very precious and rare. I don't have one. Song Mo's brows furrowed. Lu Ming was silent. The current situation was not good. He had wanted to go to the teleportation formation to see if he could fool them. But now, the other party could sense the Heaven Realm aura on him. If he went, He would only be walking into a trap and die. What should I do? Lu Ming frowned. Now, we can only try our luck. Song Mo pondered for a moment, then suddenly said, Try our luck? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right. Song Mo nodded and said, Throughout the years, most of the demigods that emerged from our celestial dimension have been controlled by the Origin Azura Hall. However, one person managed to escape successfully and escape the Origin Azura Hall's control. Perhaps you've heard of that person. The people of the celestial dimension call him the Technique Ancestor. The Ancestor of Techniques. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He had heard of the Ancestor of Techniques. He was a legendary figure in the Heaven Realm. The Ancestor of Techniques was extremely talented and rare. At the end of the ancient era, the Ancestor of Techniques appeared out of nowhere and created the Law Cultivation System. Furthermore, the Law Cultivation System rapidly expanded. In the end, the Law Cultivation System even defeated the ancient era cultivation system and became the mainstream cultivation system of the Heaven Realm. The Ancestor of Techniques' life could be written into a legend. Later on, when the Ancestor of Techniques reached the demigod realm, he left the Heaven Realm. The current Heavenly Thunder Emperor of the Heaven Realm was one of the Ancestor of Techniques' disciples. The Ancestor of Techniques broke away from the Yuan Luo Hall's control and risked his life to cultivate. In the end, he reached the true God realm and returned to the chaotic galaxy. He created a force and gathered many experts to fight against the Yuan Luo Hall. Song Mo said. Lu Ming nodded. Anyone from the Heaven Realm who knew the truth would want to destroy the Yuan Luo Hall. It was normal for one to fight against the Yuan Luo Hall when they had mastered the Law Cultivation System. For so many years, the Ancestor of Techniques' forces have become stronger and stronger. He has been fighting against the Yuan Luo Hall non-stop. On the dark underworld planet, there is a star iron mine that produces precious star iron. I heard that the Ancestor of Techniques' forces attacked the star iron mine some time ago. If you go to the star iron mine and are lucky enough to meet the Ancestor of Techniques' forces, you can leave the dark underworld planet with them. This is the only way now. Take this. Song Mo waved his hand and a jade talisman flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness. He found that it was a huge map. This is the map of the dark underworld planet. You can find the exact location of the star iron mine by following the map. I can't stay with you for too long or I'll be exposed, Song Mo said. Chapter 2577. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming thanked him sincerely. You're welcome. You carry the hope of the heavenly boundary. I hope you can escape. Song Mo said with a smile. Senior, how can I break the seal on your body? I have mastered the Tao of Sovereign. Perhaps I can help you break the seal. Lu Ming said. His Tao of Sovereign was extremely mysterious. It might work. You've mastered the Tao of Sovereign. Song Mo was taken aback. Extremely shocked. Not many people had mastered the Tao of Sovereign even in the primitive universe. Every one of them was a peerless genius whose name shook the world. Lu Ming had mastered such power. Ha ha ha, good good. You're really the hope of the heavenly boundary. Song Mo laughed. His face was full of smiles. After a while, Song Mo said, but your cultivation is too low. The seal on my body was personally placed by the Yuan Luo Hall Master. Even if you have mastered the Tao of Sovereign, I'm afraid you'll have to wait until you reach the true immortal realm to break the seal. True immortal realm? Lu Ming muttered. As expected, it wasn't that simple. If it was that simple, the Ancestor of Technique would have secretly helped them break the seal. Go, be careful. I'll think of a way to lure away some of the people from the Yuan Luo Hall nearby. Song Mo said. Senior, Lu Ming will remember today's kindness. If Lu Ming escapes from danger, I'll definitely come back to save you. Lu Ming clasped his fists with a determined gaze. All right, I believe in you. Song Mo smiled. Then, Lu Ming used his movement technique and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Song Mo destroyed the traces at the scene and left as well. Lu Ming flew for a while before landing on the ground. After all, flying in the air was too big of a target. Moreover, Lu Ming didn't have a fixed direction. He would go east, then west. He moved in a zigzag manner to avoid being detected by the Yuan Luo Hall. Although it was slower, it was at least safer. Just like that, Lu Ming followed the map given by Song Mo and headed toward the Star Iron Mine. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace could only capture Lu Ming's approximate location with the crystal ball. They couldn't pinpoint his exact position. Now that Lu Ming was moving quickly and constantly changing directions, it was even more difficult for the other party to capture his precise position. Therefore, Lu Ming did not encounter any experts from the Yuan Luo Hall in the following days. However, Planet Dark Underworld was too big. Lu Ming's speed was already slow. It took him more than 2 months to reach the Star Iron Mine. It was getting closer and closer to the 1-year deadline. There were less than 8 months left. After arriving here, Lu Ming became even more cautious. Because there was a terrifying expert guarding the Star Iron Mine, there was no doubt that there was a rank 7 ethereal god realm expert. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Lu Ming restrained his aura and carefully approached the Star Iron Mine to check out the situation. This area was an endless mountain range. There were towering mountains everywhere. Lu Ming hid in one of the mountains and looked into the distance. In the distance, there were mountains and a huge Star Iron Mine appeared in front of him. There were many figures mining there. Some experts were patrolling. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Senior Song Mo and the people of the Dharma Ancestors Force came to attack this Star Iron Mine. But now it has been a few months. Are the people of the Dharma Ancestors still here? Even if they are, how can I find them? Will they attack again? Lu Ming pondered and thoughts flashed through his mind. He decided to wait nearby. Then, Lu Ming waited near the Star Iron Mine. However, he did not stay in one place. Instead, he constantly changed his position to avoid being discovered by the other party. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. However, there was no movement. The Star Iron Mine had been operating peacefully. Have the people of the Dharma Ancestor left? Lu Ming frowned. Time was running out. Not long after, Lu Ming changed his direction again and carefully went to another mountain peak. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He felt a sense of danger. Lu Ming took a step forward and suddenly moved 100 meters to the right. Whoosh! A sword light landed on the place where Lu Ming had just stepped, cutting a deep gully in the ground. You can dodge my sword. Not bad. A clear voice sounded. Lu Ming turned around and saw a woman. This woman had jade-like skin and exquisite facial features. She was a stunning beauty. She had a thick ponytail and was wearing a tight outfit. She held a long sword in her hand and looked quite heroic. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Had he been discovered by the people of the Yuan Luo Palace? Whoosh! Lu Ming quickly retreated. At the same time, he kept using the battle formula. He wanted to trigger the double combat strength of the battle formula. You are just a transformation void martial realm martial artist. How dare you run away in front of me? Say! The woman shouted. Her body was like a flickering shadow as she rushed toward Lu Ming. She waved her long sword and rays of bright sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's battle sword appeared in his hand and he slashed out continuously. Bam! 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 A series of explosions sounded. Lu Ming's arm went numb and he quickly retreated. What a powerful combat strength! Lu Ming was slightly shocked. This woman's cultivation was only at rank 1 empty god realm. However, her divine power was dense and powerful. Her attack strength was shocking. She could actually suppress Lu Ming. After forcing Lu Ming to retreat, the woman charged toward Lu Ming again. She waved her long sword and hundreds of rays of sword light shot out toward Lu Ming. Boom! At that moment, Lu Ming finally triggered the double combat strength of the battle formula. His battle sword vibrated and rays of sword light shot out and collided with the woman. Clang! Clang! The speed of their attacks was shocking. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. After dozens of blows, the two of them retreated a few hundred meters. They were evenly matched and it was difficult to determine the winner. Could she be a supreme talent from Yuan Luo Hall? Lu Ming thought to himself. Now that he had triggered the double combat strength of the battle formula, his combat strength was very close to rank 3 empty god realm and he could kill a rank 2 empty god realm martial artist. However, this woman was only at rank 1 empty god realm and she was able to fight him to a draw. Lu Ming was shocked. However, he did not know that the woman's heart was in turmoil. How can this be? How can his combat strength be so powerful? The woman shouted in her heart. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the transformation void martial realm and he was far from reaching the empty god realm. However, his combat strength was so strong that he could fight with her. It was unbelievable. The Sovereign Tao. The power that he possesses is the Sovereign Tao. There is actually a genius who possesses the Sovereign Tao in Star Dark Underworld. Yuan Luo Hall actually has such a supreme talent. He must be eliminated. Thoughts flashed through the woman's mind. Then, she gritted her teeth and charged toward Lu Ming with her long sword. However, at the instant that woman attacked, their expressions all changed. In the distance, a few rays of light shot out from the star iron mine. Obviously, the battle here had been discovered. Chapter 2578. Let's go. Lu Ming turned around and increased his speed to the maximum. He thought that the woman's helpers had arrived and it would be dangerous if he stayed any longer. The woman was surprised. She thought that Lu Ming would try his best to hold her back when the experts from the star iron mine discovered them. She didn't expect that Lu Ming would run faster than her. Could it be that he's not from the Yuan Luo Palace? A thought flashed through the woman's mind before she left as well. Not long after they left, a few figures appeared at the place where they had fought. Looking at the ravines on the ground, one of the old men sneered. It seems like the righteous army hasn't given up and is still lingering nearby. Hee, their people have been captured by us. Naturally, they want to save them. Let's wait and catch them all in one fell swoop. Another old woman sneered. Their figures flashed and they disappeared from the place. Lu Ming ran for more than 100,000 miles before he stopped and found a place to rest. I'll observe here for a while. If it doesn't work, I'll have to find a hidden place on the dark underworld star and merge the small world with the chaotic universe. Lu Ming thought. Although there was a great risk in doing so and there was a high chance that the experts from the Yuan Luo Palace would discover them, he had no other choice. After resting for 2 days, Lu Ming headed towards the star iron mine. Clang, clang. Lu Ming walked for a while before he heard the sound of an intense battle ahead. It was obvious that someone was fighting. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He retracted his aura and carefully approached. In front of him, 3 middle-aged men were attacking a woman. It's her. Lu Ming's eyes moved. The lady who was besieged was actually the beautiful lady who had attacked Lu Ming previously. At this moment, the woman was being attacked by 3 men and was in a dangerous situation. 2 of the 3 men were at the 2nd level of the Empty God Realm while the other was at the 3rd level of the Empty God Realm. Although the woman was strong, she was no match for the 3 men. A chick from the Righteous Law Army. Not bad, she's quite tasty. I'll take her down and enjoy her. Haha. The rank 3 Empty God Realm man wielded a metal rod. When he waved it around, a loud rumbling sound could be heard. With one strike, the woman's body trembled violently and she was sent flying. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face was pale as snow. Yuan Luo Palace bastard. The woman gritted her teeth and tried her best to rush to the side, but the 3 men held her tightly, making it impossible for her to escape. So she's not from the Yuan Luo Palace, but from the Zhengtian army. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance without any effort. Previously, Song Mo had said that the force created by the ancestor of techniques was called the Righteous Army. Since this girl was from the Righteous Sky Army, she must not die in the hands of the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming began to use the battle formula, triggering double combat power. This time his luck was pretty good. Lu Ming only needed to use it 3 times before he was able to trigger double combat power. Lu Ming cautiously approached. Then, he suddenly erupted with power and charged forward. Who is it? The moment Lu Ming made his move, the other party discovered him. A level 2 Empty God Realm man shouted and turned around to attack. However, the other party attacked hastily and was unable to block Lu Ming's attack. He was sent flying by Lu Ming's sword. Then, Lu Ming continued to step forward and attacked continuously with his battle sword. Poof! Blood splattered everywhere. That man was killed by Lu Ming. After killing this burly man, Lu Ming charged toward another burly man at level 2 Void God Realm. It's him! After seeing Lu Ming, the young woman's eyes lit up. Her figure flashed rapidly as she dodged the attack of the level 3 Empty God Realm expert. Without the attacks of the 2 level 2 Empty God Realm experts, the pressure on the young woman was greatly reduced. After dodging a few attacks, her situation became much better. Brat, you're courting death. The level 3 Empty God Realm man roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming turned around and left. He did not want to fight the other party head-on. The man roared and chased after the young woman. However, the young woman had already run far away. Lu Ming did not continue fighting. He sprinted at full speed, then made a turn and chased after the lady. After the two men chased for a while, they seemed to have some misgivings and did not dare to continue. Instead, they stopped and spread the news. Lu Ming followed the young woman for hundreds of thousands of miles. At this moment, the young woman stopped and looked at Lu Ming. She said, "Although you saved me, you don't have to keep following me. What do you want?" "You're from the righteous army?" Lu Ming asked. The young woman's expression changed slightly. She said, "That's right. I'm very curious. Who are you?" "The people from Yuan Luo Palace seem to want to deal with you too." "You're really from the righteous army." Lu Ming was overjoyed. He said, "I'm from the same hometown as the ancestor of techniques. Can you bring me to see him?" "Ancestor of techniques? Who's that?" The young woman frowned in confusion. You don't know the ancestor of techniques? He's the one who founded the righteous army." Lu Ming said, "You're talking about the general? You're from the same hometown as the general?" The young woman was puzzled. "Yes, I'm the real deal. The entire planet Dark Underworld is chasing after me," Lu Ming said. "It doesn't matter if you're really from the same hometown as the general, but it's a fact that you're enemies with Yuan Luo Palace. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, it's impossible to bring you to see the general now." The young woman shook her head and sighed. "What's going on?" Lu Ming had a bad premonition. "Last time, some of us attacked the planet Dark Underworld Star Iron Mine with the intention of stealing their ore. However, we didn't expect them to prepare an ambush beforehand. Some of us died in battle, some were captured, and only a few escaped. The senior who controlled the Star Warship was also captured. Now, the Star Warship is in their hands. If we want to escape from the planet Dark Underworld, we must first rescue those from the righteous army and take back the Star Warship," the young woman said. Lu Ming was speechless. It wasn't easy for him to meet the righteous army, but he didn't expect them to end up in the same situation as him. They were also trapped and couldn't escape. Now, there are many experts from Yuan Luo Palace in the Star Iron Mine. They're waiting for us to attack so that they can catch all of us in one fell swoop. During this period of time, I've been nearby checking for news," the young woman said. Lu Ming finally understood why the young woman had attacked him the moment she saw him. She must have thought that he was from Yuan Luo Palace and wanted to capture him to get information. "What's the cultivation of the strongest expert in the Star Iron Mine?" Lu Ming pondered for a while and asked. "Level 9 Empty God Realm," the young woman said. "What's the cultivation of the people who escaped?" Lu Ming asked again. "There's also a Level 9 Empty God Realm expert, but there's only one of them. However, there are a few Level 9 Empty Gods in the Star Iron Mine. Therefore, we're no match for them," the young woman said. "There's also a Level 9 Empty God Realm expert. Haha, that's enough. I can help you rescue them and take back the Star Warship." Lu Ming laughed loudly. Chapter 2579. You have a way? The young lady was puzzled. She did not believe him. Lu Ming had a way to save the righteous army and take back the Starry Sky battleship? How was that possible? Although Lu Ming was extremely talented, his cultivation was still low. His combat strength was on par with hers. What could he do? There were at least a few Level 9 Empty God Realm experts in the Star Iron Mine. As for Level 7 and 8 Empty God Realm experts, Lu Ming would be killed with a slap. Sometimes, you don't need to use force to save people. I'll show you something and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled and waved his hand. A person appeared in his hand. This person was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long. A person. At first the young woman was stunned, but then her beautiful eyes suddenly widened. "This is the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long?" the young lady exclaimed softly. She had not expected to meet Kong Long here. "Have you seen him before?" Lu Ming asked. "A few times," the young lady said. She seemed to have thought of something and a bright smile appeared on her face. Kong Long had been locked up by Lu Ming for half a year and was in a daze. He was stunned for a while before he could see the situation clearly. "Brat, you're dead. Let me tell you you're dead. Let me go now or I'll kill you." "Ah, Tong Shi What are you doing here? Kong Long roared when he saw Lu Ming. Then, he looked at the young lady and was stunned. Kong Long, I didn't expect you to end up like this. Ha ha ha, looks like I'm lucky. Tong Shi looked at Kong Long and sneered. What are you trying to do? Kong Long's face turned pale. You talk too much, Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and kept Kong Long again. My cultivation is not high enough. Even with Kong Long, I'll be killed in an instant if I meet an expert above level 7 Empty God Realm. However, you have a level 9 Empty God Realm expert. If you let him exchange Kong Long for the Righteous Army and the Starry Sky battleship, you'll be confident, Lu Ming said. This was his plan. Kong Long wouldn't be of much use to him. If he could exchange him for the Righteous Sky Army's people and starships, then he could leave planet Dark Underworld. Moreover, he would be indebted to the Righteous Sky Army, so why not? Alright, if I can succeed this time, we will be extremely grateful. Tong Shi-er's face Kong Long, by the way, my name is Tong Shi-er. What's your name? Tong Shi-er's Lu Ming replied. Brother Lu, let's go. I'll bring you to see the Righteous Army. Tong Shi-er said. After that, her figure flashed and flew towards a certain direction. Lu Ming followed Tong Shi-er. The two of them did not fly in the air. Instead, they ran on the ground. However, their speed was still very fast. After running for a few hours, the two of them arrived at a rather remote canyon. Whew! As soon as the two of them arrived, a cold shout rang out. A middle-aged man appeared in front of them, blocking their path. Shi-er. When the middle-aged burly man saw that it was Tong Shi-er, he revealed a smile. Then, he swept his gaze over Lu Ming and narrowed it slightly. There was a hint of wariness in his eyes. He had no choice but to be on guard. This was planet Dark Underworld, the territory of the Yuan Luo Palace. The Righteous Army and the Yuan Luo Palace were sworn enemies. The remaining members of the Righteous Army were all here. Naturally, he would be on guard when he saw an unfamiliar man. Uncle Lu. His name is Lu Ming. He is also an enemy of Yuan Luo Palace. He has a way to help us save Uncle Wang and the others. Tong Shi-er said. He has a way to save them? The middle-aged man's eyes were full of suspicion. He could tell that Lu Ming was only at the transformation void martial stage. Such a cultivation was not worth mentioning in his eyes. How could he have a way to save their companions? Shi-er, don't be fooled by him. He might be from Yuan Luo Palace and is trying to win your trust. The middle-aged man's face turned ugly. If that was the case, they would all be in danger. A cold murderous intent was emitted from his body. He was ready to attack at any time. Uncle Lu, it can't be. He has the young master of Yuan Luo Palace. Kong Long, Tong Shi-er hurriedly said. He has the young master of Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Long? The middle-aged man's aura immediately weakened. He was bewildered. If Lu Ming really had Kong Long in his hands, he was definitely not from the Yuan Luo Palace. Even if he wanted to capture them, he would not use Kong Long to take the risk. It was impossible. This was also the reason why Tong Shi-er felt at ease bringing Lu Ming here. That's right. Kong Long is in my book. Miss Shi-er has already seen it. Immediately, Lu Ming explained his plan to him. Good. Haha, brother Lu Ming, I misunderstood you just now. I'm sorry. The middle-aged man smiled embarrassedly. It's fine. Lu Ming smiled. Under such circumstances, it was normal for the other party to be cautious. I'll take you to see Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man said. Then, he led Lu Ming and Tong Shi-er into the depths of the canyon. In the depths of the canyon, Lu Ming saw a group of about 30 people. They were all experts who were above level 3 Empty God Realm. Among them, Tong Shi-er's cultivation was the weakest. Deputy General Sun, the middle-aged man, and Tong Shi-er bowed to a gray-robed elder. The gray-robed elder was Deputy General Sun. In the Zhengtian army, the person with the highest position was the general, who was also the ancestor of techniques. Under the general, there were a few deputy generals. Below them were the various generals and deputy generals. This elder was a deputy general who was at level 9 Empty God Realm. When the people in the canyon saw Lu Ming, they were wary. However, when Tong Shi-er and the others said that Lu Ming had Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. Lu Ming waved his hand and Kong Long appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It's really Kong Long. I've seen him once. Ha ha ha, we're saved. When the Zhengtian army saw Kong Long, they were all overjoyed. They were no longer wary of Lu Ming. When Kong Long saw so many Zhengtian army members, he was so frightened that his face turned pale. He shrank back and did not dare to make a ruckus. Senior, I'll have to trouble you. Lu Ming handed Kong Long to Deputy General Sunday. Haha, little brother Lu Ming, if we can escape this time, please state your conditions. Deputy General Sun laughed heartily. Junior's conditions are simple. I want to leave with all of you. Then, I need a place to settle my family and friends. Lu Ming said. Haha, that's simple. Our Fengtian army has occupied more than a dozen planets with life. We don't have much, but we have a lot of land. You can choose whatever you want. Deputy General Sun grinned and took Kong Long. Chapter 2580. All right, there's no time to lose. I'll go and rescue them. You two follow me. After Deputy General Sun took Kong Long, he looked at the two burly men. The two burly men were at level 8 Empty God Realm. Besides Deputy General Sun, they were the ones with the highest cultivation. Immediately, the three of them carried Kong Long and flew away. Lu Ming did not need to worry about what happened after that. He believed that Deputy General Sun would find a way to successfully exchange for the Starry Sky battleship and the members of the Zhengtian army. Kong Long was the young master of Yuan Luo Palace. With him as a hostage, the people of Yuan Luo Palace would not dare to reject the exchange. Lu Ming and the others only needed to wait quietly. In less than a day, Deputy General Sun and the others returned with more than 20 people. Success. Lu Ming knew that Deputy General Sun and the others had succeeded. Let's go. Let's leave planet Dark Underworld. The people of Yuan Luo Palace will definitely hunt us down. Deputy General Sun said. With that, he waved his hand and a small boat appeared in the air. The shape of the boat was strange. It did not look like a boat. Instead, it looked similar to the flying shuttle that Lu Ming had seen in Yuan Lu. The two ends of the boat were pointed and formed the shape of a shuttle. The body of the boat was pitch black and strange runes were engraved on its surface. Lu Ming knew that this must be the Starry Sky battleship. It was a battleship that could travel in the universe. Lu Ming's heart burned with excitement. This kind of battleship was shockingly expensive. This was because true gods could only stay in the universe for a short period of time and could not travel across the universe. Only true gods had the ability to travel across the universe from one planet to another. This showed how precious the Starry Sky battleship was. If one could have one, they would be able to travel freely in the universe. As soon as the Starry Sky battleship appeared in the air, it expanded rapidly. All of you come in, Deputy General Sun said. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone rushed into the Starry Sky battleship. Deputy General Sun was the last to enter. When he entered the Starry Sky battleship, the Starry Sky battleship turned into a beam of light and shot into the sky. Swoosh. The Starry Sky battleship was like a beam of light shooting into space. Soon, it rushed out of the atmosphere and entered the starry sky. On the walls of the starship, there were transparent crystals. Through these crystals one could see what was happening outside. Lu Ming looked outside through the crystal. He could see that the land behind him was beginning to shrink. Soon, a blue planet appeared below. This is the Dark Underworld planet? Lu Ming was shocked to see a planet appear in front of him for the first time. In the Heaven Realm, such a scene could not be seen. The huge Dark Underworld star was rotating slowly in the universe. In Lu Ming's field of vision, it was getting smaller and smaller. One day, I will return to planet Dark Underworld. One day, I will take back the Heaven Realm and Primordial Realm. Senior Song Mo, and the other seniors from the Heaven Realm, one day, I'll set you free. The Yuan Luo Palace treated us Heaven Realm people as medicinal herbs. One day, I'll flatten the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming swore in his heart, his gaze firm. The Dark Underworld planet became smaller and smaller in Lu Ming's eyes. Eventually, it became a small black dot and disappeared. Lu Ming looked at other places and sighed in his heart. Beautiful, too beautiful. The universe's starry sky was too beautiful. The stars were shining brightly. And they were sailing in the universe's starry sky. The Eldritch universe. This is the real world. It's vast and boundless. Looking at the starry sky, Lu Ming only felt that his heart was broadened. The Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm were too small. They were just small worlds. They could not be compared to the Eldritch universe. The Eldritch universe was too big. It was boundless. There were countless races and experts. Those legendary experts roamed the universe, repaying their debts of gratitude and vengeance as they pleased. They were immortal. Lu Ming suddenly felt a sense of pride in his heart. He could feel his blood boiling. One day, he would also become an expert in the universe. Although there was still an unreachable distance for him now, when Lu Ming first started cultivating, wasn't there also an unreachable distance between him and the top powerhouse in the Heaven Realm? But in the end, Lu Ming still managed to reach it. Lu Ming felt that the Eldritch universe would be more exciting than the Heaven Realm and Primordial Realm. Now, they were going to the headquarters of the Righteous Army, the Righteous Planet. The dark underworld planet was very far away from the Righteous Planet. One could imagine that the surface area of the dark underworld planet was 10,000 times larger than the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm combined. But the dark underworld planet was just a speck of dust in the universe. One could imagine how big the distance between different planets was. Even with the Starry Sky battleship's astonishing speed, it would still take several months to travel. In the Starry Sky battleship, Lu Ming sometimes cultivated and sometimes chatted with Tong Shi-er and Deputy General Sunday. He also learned a lot about the Eldritch universe. At the same time, when the Righteous Army found out that Lu Ming came from a small world and was from the same hometown as the Righteous Army's general, their attitude towards Lu Ming completely changed. It was as if they treated Lu Ming as one of their own. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. In front of them, a huge planet appeared. This planet was the Righteous Planet. The Righteous Planet was named after the Righteous Army occupied this place. Naturally, it wasn't called this before. What a huge planet! Looking from afar, Lu Ming felt that the Righteous Planet was shockingly huge. Its volume was at least several times larger than the dark underworld planet. It gave off a strong visual impact. The Starry Sky battleship slowed down and slowly approached the Righteous Planet. Slowly, Lu Ming could see mountain ranges, large rivers, and even huge cities on the Righteous Planet. Not long after, they entered the atmosphere of the Righteous Planet. At this time, Deputy General Sun put away the Starry Sky battleship and they appeared in the air. What a rich divine qi! Lu Ming took a deep breath. He felt that the divine qi here was incomparably rich. It was more than twice as rich as the dark underworld planet. This kind of cultivation environment was too good. Let's go! Deputy General Sun took the lead and flew towards a mountain peak. Lu Ming and the others followed. This mountain peak was incomparably wide. There were many palaces built on it. It was grand and magnificent. Between the mountain peaks, there were constantly experts flying back and forth. So many experts. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. At a glance, he saw that most of the experts in the city were in the Void God Realm. Those below the Void God Realm were in the minority. However, Lu Ming also understood that this should be the headquarters of the Righteous Army. There were naturally many experts here. Other places definitely wouldn't have so many experts. Soon, they arrived at a square. Shi-er, take Lu Ming to the living room and wait. I'll go and report to the general. If he knows that a fellow villager has come, he'll definitely be very happy. Deputy General Sun said. Okay. Tong Shi-er nodded. Then she looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, come with me. Let's go to the living room. Okay. Lu Ming nodded and followed Tong Shi-er. Chapter 2581. After arriving at the living room, Lu Ming and Tong Shi-er chatted casually as they waited. Not long after, a shadow flashed outside the living room and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man who looked to be around 30 years old. He wore a black robe and looked handsome and elegant, giving people a gentle feeling. Greetings, General. Tong Shi-er quickly stood up and bowed when she saw the young man. This person was the general of the Zhengtian army, the ancestor of the Heaven Realm back then, the legendary person who created the law cultivation system. Ha ha ha, no need to be so polite. I'm here to meet my fellow countrymen. The ancestor of techniques laughed and stepped in. Lu Ming greets the ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming also stood up and bowed. It was the first time he met this legendary person, so Lu Ming was also quite excited. No need to be so polite, no need to be so polite. The ancestor of techniques waved his hand and a gentle force lifted Lu Ming up. No one has called me that for many years. From now on, just call me General like the others. The ancestor of techniques smiled and sized up Lu Ming carefully. You have the aura of the heaven realm. You are indeed from the heaven realm. You even cultivated the law cultivation system and formed a small world. The ancestor of techniques whispered and looked at Lu Ming with an even more friendly gaze. Lu Ming, how did you come out of the heaven realm? What happened in the heaven realm? I once secretly snuck into the dark underworld planet, but the passage to the heaven realm has been sealed. Even I can't enter. The ancestor of techniques asked a few questions. It was obvious that he wasn't calm in his heart. Lu Ming knew that the ancestor of techniques must have cultivated and returned to the dark underworld planet. But the passage was sealed by the ancestral dragon and the Hell Protector Patriarch with the sky-suppressing rune. The ancestor of techniques was too powerful. If he forcefully broke the seal, the heaven realm, the Yuan realm, and the evil god realm would collapse together. Senior, it's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming briefly told him what had happened in the heaven realm and the evil god realm. I see. After the ancestor of technique heard this, he nodded and sighed. Senior, I've brought out most of the divine beasts and humans from the primordial realm from the heaven realm. In a few months, our small world will merge with the primitive universe. We need a place to settle these creatures. Lu Ming said. That's easy. I'll choose a place for you immediately. The ancestor of technique smiled. The upright heaven star was shockingly large. It was several times larger than the dark underworld star. It was easy to settle the living beings of the primordial realm in. Follow me. The ancestor of techniques did things swiftly and decisively. After speaking, he waved his sleeve and a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and flew him outside. The ancestor of technique's speed was extremely shocking. The scenery around them constantly flashed by. Not long after, they flew far away and arrived at a grassland. This grassland stretched as far as the eye could see, with no end in sight. This grassland is vast, and its area is at least 10 times that of the heaven domain, primordial realm, and evil god realm. Your small worlds can just merge here. The ancestor of law said. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming was also very excited. There was finally a place to settle down. After rushing out of the heaven domain, he had finally won a chance of survival and successfully brought everyone out of danger. Senior, please wait for a moment. With that, Lu Ming's heart stirred and his figure appeared on a mountain peak in his small world. Here, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, Titan Longhorn Bull, and the others had been waiting for Lu Ming's news. At the same time, they were also prepared to fight to the death if there was any danger. Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, Ancestral Gragon and the others looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, how is the situation now? If there's no other way, we can fight to the death. Everyone spoke one after another. Everyone, we have already left the dark underworld star. Lu Ming said with a smile. What? Left the dark underworld star? Ancestral Gragon and the others were stunned, and then they were overjoyed. Left the dark underworld star? Could it be that they had escaped? We're safe now. Also, I'll bring you to see someone. After speaking, a force enveloped Ancestral Gragon and the others and moved them out of the small world. As soon as Ancestral Gragon and the others appeared outside, they looked around. In the next moment, their gazes were focused on the ancestor of techniques. After seeing the ancestor of techniques, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, and the others were stunned. Master. Heavenly Thunder Emperor seemed to be dumbfounded. He muttered to himself and then trembled with excitement. Greetings, Master. After a long while, Heavenly Thunder Emperor bowed down. Ancestor of techniques. It's the ancestor of techniques. At the same time, some people exclaimed. Among these people, some had existed since the ancient times. Some were even older than the ancestor of techniques, so they naturally knew the ancestor of techniques. When they saw the ancestor of techniques, they were inexplicably shocked. The ancestor of techniques had left the heaven domain a long time ago. They did not expect to meet him here. Heavenly Thunder. Long time no see. It's time for your cultivation to break through. The ancestor of techniques smiled. Ancestor of techniques. Ancestral Gragon muttered with a complicated gaze. When the ancestor of techniques was still in the heaven domain, he had already been ordered to guard the heaven domain. When the ancestor of techniques left the heaven domain, he naturally knew about it. Also, He knew that those people would be controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace when they left the heaven domain. However, he was helpless and could not stop them, nor could he warn them. Later, when the Hell Protector ancestor went to the heaven domain and took out the heaven-suppressing talisman, they worked together to seal the passage to the heaven domain. However, what surprised him was that the ancestor of techniques was not controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace. It's like this. The ancestor of techniques has created the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace. Lu Ming briefly explained the ancestor of techniques and how they came to the righteous star. General of the righteous army. Ancestral Gragon and the others muttered. At this moment, they deeply understood that the ancestor of techniques' current realm was not something they could guess. It was probably shockingly high. Otherwise, how could he create the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace? Some of the people here were of the same generation as the ancestor of techniques. Some of them were even older than the ancestor of techniques. However, at this moment, their eyes were filled with respect. That was the way of cultivation. Those who had reached the top were the seniors, regardless of age. Since the ancestor of techniques' cultivation was far above them, they naturally could not treat the ancestor of techniques as their peers. The ancestor of techniques swept his gaze across the crowd and nodded slightly. His heart was also filled with complicated emotions. There were many familiar faces here. After so many years, seeing so many familiar faces made him feel rather emotional. All right, you guys can stay here for now. I will send someone to help you. If you need anything, you can ask me, said the ancestor of techniques. With that, he turned into a beam of light and left the place. Is this the Eldritch universe? What a rich divine chi. This cultivation environment is truly shocking. I feel like I'm about to break through. Haha, me too. After the ancestor of techniques left, everyone finally felt it. They were all shocked by the cultivation environment here. Chapter 2582. Moreover, some of these people had been stuck in the demigod realm for countless years. It was impossible for them to break through in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's conditions were not enough for them to break through to the martial god realm. At most they could cultivate to the demigod realm. Their foundations, their comprehension, had already reached their limits. Now that he had arrived at the primitive universe and arrived at the upright star, he had an urge to break through. Let's let them out first and settle them down. It won't be too late to break through after the small world and the primitive universe have merged. Yes. Immediately, Lu Ming and some people who had cultivated small worlds released the divine beasts and humans from their small worlds. People kept appearing on the plain. Not long after, a dense crowd of humans and divine beasts appeared. Their numbers were immeasurable. These were the people and divine beasts of the entire primordial realm. Naturally, their numbers were frightening. However, the plain was too big. It was more than 10 times the size of the evil god realm of the primordial realm. It could easily accommodate them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're safe now. This is just Heaven Planet, the Your Wilds universe. We can settle down here and build a city. Lu Ming's voice rang in everyone's ears. Is this the primitive universe? God, what kind of energy is this? It's much stronger than Origin Chi. My cultivation is about to break through. I just took a breath. In this environment, I feel that even if I don't cultivate, I can strengthen my body and break through my cultivation. Countless humans and divine beasts were shocked when they sensed the environment. The cultivation environment of the primitive universe was much better than that of the primordial realm of the heaven realm. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. They were right. Even if they didn't cultivate here, their cultivation could still increase. This was especially true for some low-level martial artists. For example, those below the martial emperor realm felt that with every breath, their cultivation was increasing. Their bodies were being tempered and constantly becoming stronger. Their feelings were not wrong. In the primitive universe, no matter what kind of creature it was, whether they cultivated or not, as long as they reached adulthood, their cultivation would reach the martial emperor realm. In other words, any farmer in the primitive universe would have the cultivation of a martial emperor. This was the divine realm. It couldn't be compared to the heaven realm at all. The environment here was too good. Any creature that stayed here for a long time would automatically evolve in all aspects and undergo a transformation. Many talented people could easily cultivate to martial sage or martial emperor. Of course, it was not easy to reach the martial god realm. It was a hurdle that stopped 99% of the living beings in the primitive universe. Everyone, let's familiarize ourselves with each other first before we begin. Lu Ming's voice sounded again. Everyone first familiarized themselves with the environment. After that, the ancestral Gragon and the others began to make arrangements. Everyone began to build a city on the plains. Not long after, a group of experts from the righteous army arrived. They were in charge of protecting the lives of the heaven realm. After all, there were some living creatures living in this grassland. Although there were no terrifying existences, any living creature had the cultivation of the martial emperor realm. To most of the humans and divine beasts in the heaven realm, they were very threatening. Following that, countless heaven realm living beings started to get busy. Many huge and majestic cities were erected on the grassland. At the same time, the righteous army had formation experts who helped them carve large formations. This way, as long as they stayed in the cities, they would be safe. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Countless living beings in the heaven realm settled down on the grassland. Hundreds of huge cities suddenly appeared on this boundless grassland. In the past few months, the cultivations of countless living beings in the heaven realm skyrocketed as they continuously made breakthroughs. This was especially true for those with low cultivations. The speed of their breakthroughs was even more shocking. For example, Lu Ming's parents, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, had directly charged into the martial sage realm. Furthermore, they were improving every day. When the countless living beings in the heaven realm first came to a place like this, they were destined to have a period of explosive growth. Once their cultivations were high, their progress would be slower. When they reached the martial emperor realm, their progress would be much slower. However, there were still many martial emperors who made breakthroughs. The lower the cultivation, the easier it was to break through. On this day, rumbling sounds came from Lu Ming's body. The 1-year period is up. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He had been in the primitive universe for a year. The small world in his body was about to merge with the primitive universe. Lu Ming's figure moved and turned into a beam of light, appearing on an empty plain. At this moment, countless people rushed out and arrived at the empty plain. Like Lu Ming, they cultivated the system of laws and refined their small worlds. At this moment, they were about to merge with the primitive universe. Buzz! Lu Ming's small world vibrated more and more violently. Then it flew out on its own. After the small world flew out, it directly landed on the grassland and merged with the ground of the grassland. The area of the grassland rapidly expanded. Lu Ming felt a wave of weakness in his body. This was caused by the merging of the small world and the primitive universe. Whoosh! At this moment, the mountain river diagram flew out from Lu Ming's glabella and merged with the ground. As expected, even the paradise treasure can't be kept. Lu Ming sighed. The nature of the paradise treasure was the same as the small world. It was not allowed to exist in the primitive universe. In the primitive universe, except for some natural space secret realms, the small worlds cultivated by others that could allow living beings to survive were all not allowed to exist. The primitive universe was so domineering. It was the only one. However, spatial treasures such as storage rings were fine. This kind of spatial treasure only opened up a space to store things. Living beings could not survive in it, so it was fine. Fortunately, Lu Ming had put away all the treasures of the mountain and river diagram in the small world into the small world. In the heaven realm, all the living beings who cultivated small worlds had their small worlds merged with the ground. Whoosh! At this moment, an incomparably powerful energy poured into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not even need to refine it. This energy automatically transformed into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. The feeling of weakness quickly disappeared, and Lu Ming was full of energy again. This was the feedback from the primitive universe. The primitive universe was fair. If it took away his small world, the corresponding energy would be returned to him. Lu Ming felt the power of the world and the power of the ruler in his body surging. His total energy did not decrease. His cultivation was the same as before. There was no difference at all. It was just that the small world had disappeared and turned into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. This is good too. It will be more convenient for me to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Lu Ming smiled. In order to break through to the martial god realm, he had to merge everything into one. Even if the small world did not merge with the primitive universe, he would have to find a way to merge everything in the future. However, that would be more troublesome. In this way, it would be more convenient for Lu Ming to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Chapter 2583. Peace returned to the world. the small worlds in the bodies of all the people in the heaven realm and primordial realm, who cultivated the nomological system fused with the grassland. The area of this grassland had also expanded a little. The distance between some of the big cities had also increased. Boom! Boom! Right at this moment, several auras soared into the sky, shocking to the extreme. That's breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he looked in the direction of the explosion. Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Rebellious. There were a total of 5 people, and their auras were getting stronger and stronger, reaching the peak. This was the sign of breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming had not expected the Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others to break through at this moment. However, on second thought it was reasonable. Martial Monarch Heavenly Thunder, Martial Monarch Rebellious, and the others had long achieved the half-martial god realm. They had been accumulating their strength for a long time, thus they could have long achieved the martial god realm. However, in the heaven realm the conditions were limited, so it was difficult to successfully break through. Hoo! The bodies of Sovereign Heavenly Thunder and Sovereign Rebellious were like 5 vortexes, constantly absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. Between the heavens and the earth, the surging divine chi continued to gather towards them. A few days later, their auras skyrocketed. There was a layer of light on the surface of their bodies that looked like flames. It was a blazing divine flame. Level 1 Nihility God Realm they had broken through. No heavenly tribulation. Lu Ming's eyes flickered in surprise. He had long discovered this situation. This was because during this period of time, too many people and divine beasts in the heaven realm and primordial realm had broken through, but there was no heavenly tribulation. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, breaking through to the martial emperor realm, martial saint realm, and martial emperor realm would be accompanied by a calamity. However, there was nothing here. In the heaven realm, there was a terrifying heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the half-martial god realm. Lu Ming initially thought there would be a heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the martial god realm, but to his surprise, there was none. Perhaps this is the difference between the primordial realm and the primitive universe. Lu Ming pondered. In the heavenly world, the primordial world, and the fiend god world, the heavenly Tao was supreme. All heavenly tribulations were evolved from the heavenly Tao. However, the heavenly Tao was only the heavenly Tao of the primordial realm. It had nothing to do with the primordial universe. Perhaps there was no such thing as a heavenly tribulation in the primitive universe. Lu Ming let out a smile. This was good. His parents' cultivation had been increasing, and it was only a matter of time before they broke through to the martial emperor realm. Without the heavenly tribulation, Lu Ming felt more at ease. Congratulations! Congratulations! Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Rebelled, and the others had successfully broken through to the martial god realm. Many people flew over to congratulate them. The Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others were also full of smiles, unable to hide the excitement in their hearts. They had been trapped in the same realm for too long. In the past, it had been difficult for them to break through. Now that they had broken through, they suddenly felt like birds flying freely in the sky. Their minds were also broadened. Lu Ming also came forward to congratulate him. After a lively moment, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Lu Ming was currently living in a newly built city. He, Xian Yanqing, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, his disciples, and his parents all lived in the city. Lu Ming entered a room and sat down cross-legged. A crystal appeared in his hand. This crystal was the size of a fist and it was crystal clear. This crystal was called a divine crystal and it was formed by pure divine qi. In the Netherworld Mountain, the divine stone that Lu Ming obtained was also condensed from divine aura. However, that kind of divine stone could be said to be a second-class divine crystal. The divine aura contained in it could not be compared to that of a divine crystal. Tens of thousands of divine stones were only equivalent to one divine crystal. After all, the Yellow Spring Mountain had been sealed in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. After a long time, the divine qi was no longer pure. The divine stones that were formed naturally could not be compared to divine crystals. Divine crystals were the hard currency of the divine world. They were divided into lower, middle, upper, and supreme grades. The divine crystal that Lu Ming had was a lower-grade divine crystal. One piece was equivalent to tens of thousands of divine stones. Divine crystals of the middle grade and above were naturally rarer and more precious. Lu Ming had killed 7 or 8 empty god realm experts who had invaded the heaven realm. On the dark underworld star, he had also killed a few experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. He had obtained some lower-grade divine crystals from their storage rings. In total there were more than 5,000 pieces. If these 5,000 lower-grade divine crystals were exchanged for divine stones, it would be more than 100 million divine stones. If they were exchanged for supreme-grade primordial stones, it would be an astronomical figure. Primordial stones were only produced in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. There was a huge difference between them and divine crystals. Naturally, they could not be compared. Lu Ming tidied up the items in his hands and continued to cultivate. Time passed quickly. Soon, another year had passed. In this year, more people had broken through. The overall strength of the people from the heaven realm and primordial realm continued to increase. Moreover, many demigods had successfully broken through and entered the martial god realm. Almost all of the veteran demigods had entered the martial god realm. Even the Dandan, Titan Longhorn Beetle, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm and the others were about to break through. Lu Ming, I am about to break through. On this day, Xian Yanqing said to Lu Ming, about to break through? All right, I will protect you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Xian Yanqing nodded. The two of them left the city and came to an open space. Xian Yanjuan. In front of them, there was a figure sitting cross-legged in mid-air. His body was emitting a bright sacred light. It was a coincidence to meet Xian Yanjuan here. You are about to break through too? Xian Yanjuan looked at Xian Yanqing in surprise. That's right. Xian Yanqing nodded. I didn't expect your cultivation speed to be so fast after absorbing the memories of your past life. It makes me a little jealous. Hee. Xian Yanjuan smiled. If I don't cultivate faster, I will be surpassed by you. Xian Yanqing smiled faintly. Then, he went to the other side and sat cross-legged in mid-air. His body was emitting a dark light. Xian Yanjuan did not say much. He closed his eyes and adjusted his condition. Boom, boom. 3 days later, almost at the same time, shocking auras exploded from the two of them. A black pillar of light and a white pillar of light soared into the sky, breaking through the clouds. At that instant, many people fixed their gazes in their direction. Such a shocking aura. It seems like someone has broken through to the martial god realm. In a city, the ancestral dragon's eyes glittered as he sprang into the sky. He soon appeared not far away from Lu Ming. Following it, the heavenly lightning martial monarch and the others appeared too and observed from afar. Meanwhile, the auras emitted by Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan grew stronger as if there was no end to it. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook vigorously. Their figures were like two black holes as the god Qi between the heavens and earth gathered toward them and entered their bodies. Their auras skyrocketed once again as a terrifying aura burst out from them. This aura. Why is it so shocking? How terrifying. It's more than 10 times stronger than when we broke through. How is this possible? The ancestral dragon, the chaotic martial monarch, the heavenly lightning martial monarch, and the others blurted out. Chapter 2584. The auras that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan exuded were too shocking. Even those who had stabilized their empty god realm were shocked. Moreover, this was not the end. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's auras continued to rise. As time passed, the two of them seemed to have turned into two suns. One was as black as ink, while the other was as pure as a saint. It was as if two suns, one black and one white, were hanging in the sky, shining down on the entire grassland. At that moment, the grassland and the few hundred cities could all see what was going on. The commotion was too terrifying. The commotion caused by Shao Qing and Xian Yanjuan's breakthrough is far greater than that of the others. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. At that moment, Lu Ming felt that the auras that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan exuded were more than 10 times stronger than when the others had broken through. Moreover, it was still getting stronger. Swoosh! Not far away from Lu Ming, a light flashed and a figure appeared. It was the ancestor of techniques. It was obvious that even the ancestor of techniques was alarmed. Transformation, they are continuously transforming. Could it be that they are trying to control divine power? The ancestor of techniques muttered. His eyes were filled with shock. Huff huff. The attractive force on Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan grew stronger and stronger. Endless divine qi rolled towards the two of them. However, it was obvious that it could not keep up with the speed of their refinement. Lu Ming's expression changed. He waved his hand and many divine gems appeared. There was a total of 2,000 divine gems. 1,000 flew towards Xian Yanqing. 1,000 flew towards Xian Yanjuan. Once the divine gems reached their bodies, they exploded one by one and turned into rich divine qi. The divine qi flew into their bodies and was absorbed by them. After a day, the 1,000 divine gems were completely absorbed. However, the two of them had no intention of stopping. There are 3,000 divine gems left. Let's use them all. Lu Ming clenched his teeth and decided to throw out the remaining 3,000 god crystals. However, at that moment, the ancestor of techniques, who was not far from Lu Ming, waved his hand. Pieces of god crystals flew out towards Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. With a sweep of his spiritual awareness, Lu Ming knew that there were a total of 6,000 divine crystals, 3,000 for each person. Bang! Bang! The god crystals exploded one by one, transforming into divine energy that was absorbed by the two of them. However, even after several days had passed, the two of them did not stop cultivating. The ancestor of technique waved his hand again, and another 4,000 divine crystals flew out, 2,000 for each person. This time, it was finally enough. When the two of them finished absorbing the 2,000 divine crystals, their auras finally reached their peak and then slowly stabilized. He had broken through the martial god realm. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had both entered the martial god realm and were at level 1 empty god realm. Thank you, ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming flew towards the ancestor of techniques and cupped his fists to express his gratitude. This time, if the ancestor of techniques had not taken out 10,000 divine crystals, Lu Ming would not have had enough divine crystals. It's just a few divine crystals. You don't have to thank me. These two ladies are not simple. The ancestor of techniques said with a smile. Then, he turned into a beam of light and left the place. They are not simple. Lu Ming mumbled to himself. When Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were below the martial god realm, their performance was already shocking. However, when they had broken through to the martial god realm, it was even more shocking. It was as if they had undergone some transformation. Xian Yanqing's past life, or Xian Yanjuan's past life, must have had an extraordinary background. Lu Ming had wanted to ask Xian Yanqing about it a few times. However, Xian Yanqing seemed to be hesitant and was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming wanted to ask Xian Yanjuan about it, but Xian Yanjuan was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming had no choice but to give up. Congratulations. Congratulations. At that moment, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's auras had stabilized. Ancestral Gregon and the others immediately went up to congratulate them. Entering the martial god realm was equivalent to entering another level of life and becoming a deity. It was the second step of cultivation. It was no small matter. Xian Yanjuan was cold. He nodded his head casually and stepped into the sky to leave the place. Thank you, seniors. Xian Yanqing nodded his head with a smile and flew towards Lu Ming. Not long after, Ancestral Gregon and the others left too. Shaoqing, how do you feel? Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's hand and asked. I'm fine. Do you want to have a duel with me? Xian Yanqing blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. What is it? Are you trying to trample me under your feet? Lu Ming teased. When he had first met Xian Yanqing had been thinking about trampling him under his feet every day. What? No way. Xian Yanqing glared at him. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Ming smiled and planted a kiss on Xian Yanqing's lips. His figure drifted backward and stood opposite Xian Yanqing. You dare to take advantage of me? I'm going to take advantage of you. Xian Yanqing's eyes flickered. With a flicker, he charged at Lu Ming. So fast. Lu Ming was shocked. He stomped his foot heavily and retreated rapidly. Then, his body emitted a dazzling purple-golden light. Lu Ming circulated his Tao of Sovereign to 80% and sent out a palm strike. The powerful palm strike surged towards Xian Yanqing like a tidal wave. Xian Yanqing also sent out a palm strike. His palm was wrapped in a layer of black light. Bang! Their palms collided. Lu Ming's expression changed instantly. He felt a terrifying force surging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his arm. He was knocked back 100 miles. What a powerful force! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. He had already used 80% of his strength, but he couldn't block Xian Yanqing's attack. He retreated, but Xian Yanqing didn't move at all. He didn't even sway. You'd better use your full strength. Otherwise, you're no match for me. Xian Yanqing smiled. Looks like I'll have to use my full strength. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He unleashed his Tao of Sovereign to the extreme. At the same time, he began to activate the battle formula. Lu Ming had not stopped comprehending the battle formula since he came here. His comprehension of the battle formula was getting deeper and deeper. The success rate of activating the battle formula to double one's combat strength was also increasing. In a few moments, Lu Ming succeeded in activating the battle formula, and his combat strength skyrocketed. Whoosh! Xian Yanqing rushed toward Lu Ming like a black stream of light and sent out another palm strike. Lu Ming also sent out a palm strike. Boom! The two exchanged blows for the second time. An earth-shattering explosion erupted in the sky. Then, a figure was knocked back. It was still Lu Ming. This power, Lu Ming was shocked. He had unleashed his full strength and activated the battle formula to double one's combat strength. Such combat strength was enough to kill an ordinary level 2 empty god. However, he was still defeated by Xian Yanqing. Let's continue. Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He dashed toward Xian Yanqing without any scruples and unleashed his full strength. He and Xian Yanqing exchanged blows and engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 2585. However, after exchanging a dozen blows with Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming was depressed to find that he was no match for Xian Yanqing and was completely crushed. Xian Yanqing's divine power was strong, condensed, and indestructible. Its power was shocking and unfathomable. I'm done. After exchanging a dozen blows, Lu Ming retreated and gave up. You're done? Then I'm going to take back what you've taken advantage of me. In a flash, Xian Yanqing appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed her red lips against Lu Ming's. Lu Ming took the opportunity to grab Xian Yanqing's slender waist and pulled Xian Yanqing into his arms. His hands were already climbing up Xian Yanqing's breasts and fondling them wantonly. After a while, the two of them separated. You're really lucky, Xian Yanqing said with a slightly red face. Ha ha ha, we're already an old married couple. Don't be shy. Lu Ming laughed. Then, hand in hand, they strolled on the grassland. Xueqi, is the divine power you're cultivating a divine-grade divine power? Lu Ming asked. After being here for a few months, Lu Ming had looked for Tong Shi to borrow some books to read. They were all general knowledge of the primitive universe. Lu Ming had learned a lot about the primitive universe, including cultivation. The divine power cultivated by the martial god realm was divided into different grades. The divine power cultivated by ordinary people was just ordinary divine power. Some geniuses cultivated divine power that was more powerful and condensed than ordinary divine power. It had different mysteries. This kind of divine power was called king-grade divine power. Above king-grade divine power, there was an even higher grade of divine power called divine-grade divine power. Those who could control divine power were all peerless geniuses that were 1 in a billion. Every one of them had amazing combat power and it was easy for them to challenge those of a higher level. Lu Ming suspected that the godly power Xian Yanqing cultivated was saint godly power. Of course, above the saint grade divine 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 powers were even rarer. Every type of divine-grade divine power had endless uses. Every person who could control a divine-grade divine power was a genius among geniuses, unparalleled in this world. For example, when Lu Ming broke through to the martial god realm, the path of ruler would transform into ruler god energy, which was a kind of divine-grade god energy. The martial art I practice and my physique are quite unique. Below the martial god realm, I'm still in the process of establishing my foundation. Once I break through to the martial god realm, I'll undergo a transformation and grow stronger rapidly. I'm currently at the sacred god force, but I'll still grow stronger in the future. I might even surpass your ruler god force by then. Xian Yanqing explained with a smile. All right then, I'll rely on you to protect me from now on, Lu Ming said with a smile. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked. After a while, they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat down with his legs crossed. It's about time for me to break through, Lu Ming muttered. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of a 2-star heavenly emperor, and he could break through to a 3-star heavenly emperor now. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals on him and began to cultivate. The power of the world and ruler god energy in his body circulated rapidly as Lu Ming began to break through to the next level. Bam! Bam! Pieces of divine crystals exploded and turned into divine qi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. At the same time, the divine qi in the heavens and earth surged toward Lu Ming. Rumble! The power of the world and power of the world in Lu Ming's body became stronger and stronger. However, the ratio of the power of the world was slowly increasing. Breaking through with divine crystals was much faster than in the heaven realm. In just a few days, a powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. His cultivation had broken through to become a 3-star heavenly emperor. His strength had also increased by a level. With my current combat strength, if I activate the battle word tactic to double my combat strength, I should be able to fight with a 3-level void god realm. Lu Ming estimated his own combat strength. When he was a 2-star heavenly emperor, before activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, his combat strength was still a little lacking compared to a 3-level void god realm. Slightly inferior. Because the gap between each level of the void god realm was greater than the heavenly emperor realm. Now that he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, without activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence and even defeat the other party. After activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence. Of course, the opponents he was referring to were those who had mastered ordinary divine powers. It was naturally difficult for those who had mastered royal divine powers and above to do so. However, there aren't many divine crystals left. Lu Ming sighed. He originally had 5,000 divine crystals. Previously, he had used 2,000 for Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, leaving him with 3,000. When he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, he had used more than 2,000 divine crystals. He was only left with a few hundred divine crystals. He suddenly felt very poor and was under great pressure. Now, he had a big family to feed. His son, granddaughter, parents, and disciples all needed resources for their cultivation. Now, their cultivation was not particularly high. The remaining supreme-grade origin stones and divine stones on him were enough for their use. Moreover, the cultivation environment here was very good and he did not need divine crystals for the time being. However, as his cultivation increased, he would definitely need divine crystals in the future. How could Lu Ming not prepare some divine crystals on him? Moreover, he needed a large amount of divine crystals for his own cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have any resources for his next breakthrough. How can I earn some divine crystals? Lu Ming could not help but think about this problem. Previously, when Xian Yanqing and the others had broken through, the ancestor of technique had already taken out 10,000 divine crystals. Now, he naturally could not be thick-skinned enough to ask the ancestor of technique for divine crystals. The ancestor of technique was already good enough for them. Let's go out and see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn divine crystals. Thinking of this, Lu Ming walked out of the room and flew in the direction of the righteous army. Lu Ming had just arrived at the righteous army when he heard someone call out to him. Miss Shear. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, why are you free to come to the righteous army today? Tong Shear smiled. I wanted to see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn me some divine crystals. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Earn divine crystals? Why don't you go to 10,000 Gold Star and hunt down desolate beasts there and obtain their cores? You can sell them for a lot of divine crystals. Tong Shear said. How should we go to 10,000 Gold Star? Lu Ming asked. I happen to want to go to 10,000 Gold Star to hunt desolate beasts. Let's go together. However, the two of us are a little short. I originally wanted to go to the Righteous Army's mission hall to find a few more people. Tong Shear said. I'll go find 2 people. Lu Ming said. He thought of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. All right, I'll go rent a space battleship. We'll meet here tomorrow. Tong Shear said. Chapter 2586. Rent an interstellar battleship? Lu Ming was taken aback. That's right. Wan Jingxing isn't a planet occupied by the righteous army. This planet is very special. It's completely made of various metals. The desolate beasts on it are also made of metal. Furthermore, this planet isn't occupied by any faction. Many factions can go there to hunt desolate beasts. Therefore, our righteous army doesn't have a teleportation array that leads directly to Wan Jingxing. We can only teleport to a location closest to Wan Jingxing and then fly there on an interstellar battleship. Tong Shi'er explained. Then the cost of renting an interstellar battleship isn't low, right? Lu Ming said. Renting it once costs 1,000 deity crystals. Tong Shi'er said. 1,000 deity crystals. Lu Ming was shocked. This price was really shockingly expensive. There's no other way. Interstellar battleships are too precious. Our righteous army only has a dozen or so interstellar battleships. Moreover, they are all of the lowest grade. They can't fly too far. Flying in space for a year is the limit. Any further and we won't be able to. Moreover, every time an interstellar battleship travels across space, it needs to be maintained. Therefore, the price charged is naturally expensive. It is said that some of the major forces have even higher grade starships, and the rental fee is even higher. However, those starships are not only faster, but they can also fly a longer distance in the starry sky for a longer period of time. Tong Shi'er explained. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. It seemed like he still didn't know enough about the primitive universe. Miss Shi'er, can you pay for the rental of the interstellar battleship first? When I earn more deity crystals, I'll pay you back. Lu Ming said with a red face. He was really poor and couldn't take out so many deity crystals. It's fine. Tong Shi'er smiled faintly and bid farewell to Lu Ming. Lu Ming returned to his residence and found Xian Yanqing. He told Xian Yanqing about this matter and Xian Yanqing agreed. Then, the two of them went to find Xian Yanjuan. All right, I'll go with you. Xian Yanjuan readily agreed. In fact, Xian Yanjuan was also in dire need of divine crystals for cultivation. Hunting desolate beasts to earn divine crystals was exactly what she wanted. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan arrived at the place where they had agreed to meet Tong Shi'er yesterday. Tong Shi'er was already waiting there. What beautiful women! Tong Shi'er looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan with amazement in her eyes. Let's go! Tong Shi'er took the lead. Soon, they arrived at the Righteous Sky Army's interstellar teleportation formation. The teleportation array in the primitive universe looked similar to the teleportation array in the primordial realm in the heaven realm. After they stepped into the teleportation array, they felt dizzy and disappeared from the teleportation array. The distance to Wan Jingxing wasn't close. Along the way, they would need to switch to another transmission array to reach the nearest planet to Wan Jingxing, planet Tianguang. After 3 transfers, they arrived at planet Tianguang. Planet Tianguang was the planet closest to Wan Jingxing among the planets occupied by the Righteous Sky Army. After arriving at planet Tianguang, Tong Shi'er took out her interstellar battleship. After the 4 of them entered the interstellar battleship tore through the sky and flew towards Wan Jingxing. The interstellar battleship would take a month to reach Wan Jingxing. The 4 of them cultivated as they waited. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. In terms of size, this planet was far smaller than the Righteous Sky Star or the Dark Underworld Star. However, it was very special. From afar, it looked like a huge gemstone floating in the cosmos, shining brightly. According to Tong Shi'er's introduction, most of the materials on Wan Jingxing were all kinds of strange metals. Even the living beings on it weren't made of flesh and blood, but of metal. The desolate beasts on it were the same. And the beast cores condensed in the bodies of these desolate beasts were a precious material for refining artifacts. The higher the level and the higher the cultivation of the desolate beast, the more precious and expensive the beast core condensed. This attracted many experts from various factions to hunt desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. Rumble! The interstellar battleship entered Wan Jingxing's atmosphere. The friction with the atmosphere produced a loud rumbling sound. At this moment, the 4 of them exited the interstellar battleship and stood high in the sky. The interstellar battleship quickly shrank and was put away by Tong Shi'er. Let's go down. This wasn't Tong Shi'er's first time here. She took the lead and flew down. Below them was a boundless forest. It's indeed all metal. As they approached the forest, Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The trees and all kinds of vegetation here were actually made of all kinds of strange metals. Lu Ming saw iron trees, silver flowers and golden fruits. Of course, these ordinary metals were of no use to them, so they ignored them. The vast thousand realms really have all kinds of strange things. Lu Ming sighed. The vast thousand realms in the primitive universe were indeed more wonderful than the small thousand realms. The entire planet was made of all kinds of metals. The plants and living beings on it were all made of metal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Legend had it that in the vast cosmos, there were even more wonderful planets. Some were even beyond imagination. As they approached the forest, Xueqi slowed down. We have to be careful in Wanjingxing. Not only are the desolate beasts dangerous, but the experts from other factions are even more dangerous. Xueqi said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that many factions would come here to hunt desolate beasts. There were probably many experts on Wanjingxing. It was very normal for the experts from different factions to hunt people from other factions and snatch their beast cores. The four of them landed in the forest. They concealed their auras and ran forward slowly. Roar! Suddenly, there was a roar in front of them. Then, there was a flash of silver light. They saw a huge figure rushing towards them. Retreat! The four of them retreated quickly. Boom! The earth rumbled. The metal on the ground exploded and splattered everywhere. A huge creature appeared where Lu Ming and the others were standing. It was a huge ape. It was more than 30 meters tall and its body was silver white as if it was made of silver. Even the hair on its skin looked like silver needles. Roar! The huge silver ape roared angrily. Its silver eyes emitted a cold luster. It charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Its fist, which was the size of a small house, blasted towards Lu Ming and the others with a terrifying whistling sound. Let me deal with it. Lu Ming rushed over. He circulated his power of sovereign and punched out. Dong! There was a dull roar. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. He couldn't help but retreat. However, the huge ape also retreated a few steps. The ground under its feet kept exploding. What a terrifying force. What a hard fist. There was a gleam in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 2587. The giant ape was shockingly powerful. Its entire body was made up of metal and was extremely sturdy. Regardless of its defense or strength, it was extremely terrifying, surpassing other living beings of the same level. The giant ape was at level 2 empty god realm, but it was stronger than the other level 2 empty gods that Lu Ming had encountered before. Roar! The giant ape retreated and let out a furious roar. It then charged towards Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming took out his sacred weapon combat sword and charged towards the giant ape. Dang! Dang! Lu Ming's combat sword clashed with the giant silver ape continuously. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. Sparks flew everywhere as the two of them clashed. The giant silver ape was ultimately no match for Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming did not activate the battle formula to double his fighting strength, he could still suppress the giant silver ape with the battle formula. His cultivation as a 3-star heavenly emperor, physical strength, etc. The giant silver ape retreated continuously. Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Xueqi did not attack. They formed a circle and stood at the side, guarding their surroundings. They were afraid that other experts or wild beasts would sneak up on them. Dang! 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 Lu Ming and the giant silver ape exchanged more than 10 blows. Finally, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and beheaded the giant silver ape. Phew! Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The giant silver ape was really hard to kill. Luckily, the giant silver ape does not have much intelligence. Otherwise, it would be even harder to deal with. Lu Ming sighed. It is said that in the chaotic universe, there are metal life forms with intelligence. They are an extremely powerful race. Among the countless races in the chaotic universe, they are ranked at the top. Xueqi said. There really are metal life forms with intelligence. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. Afterward, Lu Ming broke open the giant silver ape's chest and took out a round piece of metal from inside. This was the giant silver ape's beast core. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core could be exchanged for 10 divine gems. An ordinary level 1 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 5 divine gems, A level 2 empty God Realm Metal Beast Core was worth 10 divine gems and a level 3 empty God Realm Metal Beast Core was worth 20 divine gems. As the level of the Beast Core increased, its value also increased. As long as he could kill 100 level 2 empty God Realm Wild Beasts, he would be able to recoup the rent of the space battleship. The rest would be earned. Let's gather the Beast Cores together first and then divide them equally, Lu Ming suggested. All right. Tongxi nodded. Then, the group continued forward. Not long after they left, two figures flashed, and two middle-aged men appeared in the air. It's Tongxi, the genius of the righteous army, Tongxi. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect Tongxi to dare to come here, and there are two other girls as well. Be real. Let's go back and report to His Excellency and ask him to send experts to capture these people. When the time comes, we'll play with them a little before killing them. Go. In a flash, the two middle-aged men disappeared from the place. Lu Ming and the group continued forward. After a while, they encountered a level 1 empty God Realm Wild Beast, which was easily killed by Tongxi. Lu Ming could see that Tongxi's cultivation had reached the peak of level 1 empty God Realm and she was not far from level 2 empty God Realm. Moreover, her combat strength was shocking, far surpassing experts of the same level. Back then, when Lu Ming was a level 2 Heavenly Emperor, he had activated the battle word incantation to double his combat strength. However, he was only able to fight Tongxi to a draw. Now Lu Ming knew that Tongxi possessed king-grade divine power and was a genius. Roar! Roar! As they went deeper into the forest, they encountered more and more wild beasts. However, most of them were level 1 and level 2 empty God Realm beasts. As long as there were not many of them, they were easily killed. Not long after, they had killed 15 level 1 empty God Realm Wild Beasts and 5 level 2 empty God Realm Wild Beasts. Dong! Dong! Suddenly, the ground shook. A few huge wolves that were as black as ink dashed out from a canyon in front of them. These huge wolves were as though they were made of black iron. They were 10 meters tall and 20 meters long and exuded a terrifying aura. Oh no, there are 2 level 3 empty God Realm Beasts. Tongxi's face changed drastically. There were a total of 4 huge wolves. 2 of them were level 3 empty God Realm Beasts and the other 2 were level 2 empty God Realm Beasts. Let's retreat and charge out, Tongxi shouted. If there was only 1 level 3 empty God Realm Beast, they could still fight if they joined forces. However, they were in danger if there were 2 level 3 empty God Realm Beasts and 2 level 2 empty God Realm Beasts. No need, we can fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He had not given his all. Moreover, he knew Xian Yanqing's combat strength very well. It was easy for him to deal with a level 3 empty God Realm Beast. Moreover, Xian Yanjuan's strength was definitely not weaker than Xian Yanqing's. Fight. Lu Ming, have you broken through? Tongxi was stunned. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. All right, let's fight. Tongxi gritted her teeth and said. Before Lu Ming had broken through, his combat strength was not weaker than hers. Now that he had broken through, it should not be a problem for him to deal with a level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf. She might be able to fight if she tried her best to hold back a huge wolf. However, just as she finished speaking, Xian Yanjuan charged out towards a level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf. Oh no! Tongxi's face changed. She felt that Xian Yanjuan was too impulsive. Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was only at level 1 empty God Realm. No matter how powerful he was at most on par with her. It was too dangerous for him to charge out like that. However, before she could stop him, Xian Yanjuan had already attacked. Her body emitted a holy light. She clenched her fist and a holy light sword was formed. She then slashed down. Roar! A level 3 empty God Realm huge wolf roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Its huge claws slapped down and a terrifying hurricane was formed. However, when the sword radiance in Xian Yanjuan's hand collided with the huge wolf's claws, the result was unexpected. Bam! The huge wolf howled and retreated. There was a deep sword mark on its metal claws and it had almost cut off its claws. So powerful? Tongxi was dumbfounded. Swoosh! Xian Yanjuan gained the upper hand with this one move. Her figure fluttered, and she once again attacked the giant wolf. Her sword flashed, and in the blink of an eye, she slashed out 12 times. Each strike was faster and stronger than the last, forcing the giant wolf to retreat again and again. On its metallic body, there were many deep sword marks. Roar! 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 The other 3 huge wolves roared and charged towards Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanqing moved and charged towards another level 3 empty god realm huge wolf. He struck out his palm and forced the huge wolf to retreat. Attack! Lu Ming shouted softly. In a flash, he charged toward the 2 giant wolves at the second level of the void god realm. Tong Shi woke up from her daze and charged out as well. Xian Yanjuan and Xian Yanqing's combat strength completely suppressed the level 3 empty god realm huge wolves. Within a few moves, the 2 huge wolves were killed. Chapter 2588. After Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had killed the 2 level 3 empty god realm huge metal wolves, their bodies swayed and their long swords swept across the sky. The 2 level 2 empty god realm huge wolves that were fighting with Lu Ming and Xian Yanjuan were also split into 2. Their combat strength is so strong? Tong Shi looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan in shock. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were only level 1 empty god realm cultivators, which was the same as her. She had thought that even if the 2 of them were strong, they could not be that strong. However, she realized that she was wrong. She estimated that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's combat strength was enough to fight with a level 4 empty god realm cultivator. They were only level 1 empty god realm cultivators, but they could fight with a level 4 empty god realm cultivator. Divine power. They must have mastered divine power. Tong Shi exclaimed. At the same time she sighed. Lu Ming was already strong enough. She had not expected the people around him to be so strong as well. Lu Ming smiled. With Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan helping him, he was happy and relaxed. After that, they took out the beast cores of the 4 huge wolves. The beast cores of the 4 huge wolves were worth 60 divine gems. They were not cheap. After taking out the beast cores, they continued to move forward. There were no strong wild beasts in the forest. After walking for a while, they did not meet any level 4 empty god realm cultivators. The strongest one was level 3 empty god realm cultivators. With Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan around, he and Tong Shi had an easy time. Shao Qing and Xian Yanjuan's combat skills are really amazing. Along the way, even Lu Ming was impressed. Lu Ming himself could be considered a natural combat genius. His combat awareness was very strong. However, compared to Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, he was still inferior. Their battle techniques were exquisite to the extreme, and they could often use the least amount of strength to defeat their enemies. Even if his godly power was about the same as theirs, he might not be a match for them. Lu Ming guessed that this might have something to do with their experiences in their previous lives. As time passed, their harvest grew bigger and bigger. Soon, they would be able to earn back the 1,000 divine crystals they had spent on renting the Starry Sky battleship. Just as Lu Ming and company were hunting desolate beasts, there was a mountain peak a distance away from them. On one of the mountain peaks, there were a few people gathered. These people all retracted their auras and were very careful. The 2 burly men who had discovered Lu Ming's trail appeared on the mountain peak and reported to a bald man. What? The righteous army's Tong Shi has come to Wan Jinxing? The bald man's eyes were filled with a cold light. That's right, and there are only 4 of them. One of them answered. 4? What are their cultivations? The bald man asked. Tong Shi-er's cultivation is still at level 1 empty god realm. And there are 2 other women who are also at level 1 empty god realm. The other man has the ability to kill a level 2 empty god realm martial artist. One of them bowed and reported. They are all at level 1 empty god realm. Good. This time, we will capture Tong Shi-er and let the young master play with her. Capture the other 2 women for us to enjoy. As for the man, we will kill him. The righteous army dares to go against the Yuan Luo Palace. They will die sooner or later. The bald man sneered. These people were from the Yuan Luo Palace. The 3 of you are all at level 3 empty god realm. It is more than enough to deal with Tong Shi-er and the others. Go and bring them here. The bald man ordered 3 of the burly men in black armor. Yes. The 3 burly men in black armor cupped their fists. Wait. Suddenly the bald man shouted and said, in order to be absolutely safe, Old Man Shao, go with them. All right, that will do. An old man with a face full of wrinkles chuckled. Although he felt that 3 level 3 empty god realm martial artists were more than enough to deal with a few juniors, he was at level 4 empty god realm. However, the bald man was at level 5 empty god realm and had the strongest cultivation among them. Thus, He could not reject him directly. Old Man Xiao and the three burly men in black armor left in a flash. The bald man looked at the bottom of a cliff in front of him. There was a cave under the cliff. Golden rays of light shot out from the cave from time to time. There was a bird's nest near the cave. A giant metal eagle was lying in the nest. The bald man looked at the cave with a burning gaze. However, when he saw the giant eagle, his expression turned serious. Treasure, treasure, I must get it. The greed in the bald man's eyes became even more intense. They were from Yuan Luo Hall. Not long ago, they had come to Wan Jinxing together to hunt wild beasts and obtain beast cores. However, 2 days ago, a few people from Yuan Luo Hall had accidentally entered the cave and found a treasure. It was a spiritual metal ball. Just as the people from Yuan Luo Hall were about to take the metal ball, the giant metal eagle appeared and killed the people from Yuan Luo Hall. Only one of them had luckily escaped and reported the news to him. His heart immediately burned with passion. A metal ball with spirituality was definitely a rare treasure. He immediately brought people here. However, when he saw the giant metal eagle, he stopped. Although he was a level 5 empty god realm martial artist, the giant metal eagle was a level 7 empty god realm martial artist. If they were to charge forward, they would definitely die. Therefore, he led his men to guard the cave. He wanted to wait for the giant metal eagle to leave before he entered the cave and took the spiritual metal ball. Later, he heard news about Tong Shi, Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others naturally knew nothing about this. They went deep into the forest and hunted wild beasts. Their harvest was getting bigger and bigger. Smiles appeared on their faces. Based on this progress, they only needed to hunt wild beasts in Wan Jinxing for a period of time. It wouldn't be a problem for each of them to earn about 10,000 divine gems. Who is it? Just as they were traveling through the forest in search of desolate beasts to kill, Xian Yanjuan's gaze suddenly looked in a certain direction. Then, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's gazes shifted and they looked in that direction. He, little girl, your spiritual sense is quite sharp. A cold laugh was heard. Then, a figure flashed in that direction, and 4 figures appeared. These 4 people were Old Man Xiao from Yuan Luo Hall and the 3 brawny men in black armor. You are from Yuan Luo Hall. Tong Shi-er's expression suddenly changed. He, that's right. Old Man Xiao laughed coldly. His narrow eyes swept across Tong Shi-er, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan. Especially when he looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, his eyes were burning with passion. Tong Shi-er. Young Master Kong Long misses you very much. Take you down and give you to Young Master. Young Master will definitely reward you handsomely. He. Old Man Xiao licked his lips as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Level 4 Empty God Realm. Tong Shi-er's face turned pale. Chapter 2589. Old Man Xiao exuded a powerful rank 4 Empty God Realm aura. At the same time, the 3 burly men in black armor also exuded rank 3 Empty God Realm aura. The terrifying aura was like a violent hurricane that pressed down on Lu Ming and the rest. Leave this old man to me. At this moment, Xian Yanjuan spoke. A look of disgust flashed across her eyes. Just now, when Old Man Xiao had looked at her with that gaze, she had already made up her mind to kill him. Swoosh! Xian Yanjuan waved her hand and broke through Old Man Xiao's aura suppression. She then stepped towards Old Man Xiao. Old Man Xiao's eyes narrowed. It was not easy for someone to break through his aura. Little girl, since you are in such a hurry, I will fulfill your wish. He. Old Man Xiao laughed. A shriveled hand appeared and grabbed at Xian Yanjuan. A pitch-black hand appeared and grabbed at Xian Yanjuan. Swoosh! Xian Yanjuan's hand was filled with sacred light and it turned into a sacred light sword. With a slash, the sacred light sword sliced Old Man Xiao's hand into 2. Following which, the sacred light sword vibrated and turned into sword shadows that enveloped Old Man Xiao. You! Old Man Xiao was shocked. Xian Yanjuan's strength was far beyond his imagination. It did not seem like the combat strength of a rank 1 Empty God Realm martial artist. Boom! The divine force in Old Man Xiao's body exploded. A dragon head walking stick appeared in his hand. Like a violent storm, he attacked Xian Yanjuan. However, Xian Yanjuan's sacred light sword vibrated and sword shadows appeared. In an instant, hundreds of sword shadows appeared and slashed at Old Man Xiao from all directions. Every sword shadow seemed to hit Old Man Xiao's weak points. Old Man Zhao's attack was extinguished before it could even reach half of its target. He could only retreat and defend himself. Xian Yanjuan followed up. Sword radiance surged and enveloped Old Man Zhao. Damn it, damn it! Old Man Zhao roared. He was so aggrieved that he almost vomited blood. His divine power was definitely not weaker than Xian Yanjuan's. However, he was completely suppressed by Xian Yanjuan during the battle. Xian Yanjuan's sword light completely controlled the situation and the rhythm of the battle. He couldn't display his strength at all. He had never encountered such a situation before. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This level of control. Tongxi was even more astonished. Xian Yanjuan's control was too strong. He had complete control of the battle. The strength of her divine power was about the same as Old Man Zhao's, but the battle was one-sided. This was the skill and experience of battle. Only with great strength could one achieve this. Xian Yanjuan's age seemed to be about the same as hers, but he was able to control the rhythm of the battle so powerfully. She couldn't help but be amazed. All of you attack together. Kill her, kill her. Old Man Zhao roared and ordered the 3 black-armored burly men to attack. A long spear appeared in each of the 3 black-armored burly men's hands. They circulated their divine power and were about to attack Xian Yanjuan. Your opponent is me, Xian Yanqing said coldly. His figure flashed and he also charged out. The sword radiance in his hand slashed out violently, enveloping the 3 black-armored burly men. Clang, clang, clang. After 3 consecutive collisions, the 3 black-armored burly men retreated. Little Qing, leave one for me. Lu Ming also charged out and continuously used the battle character art. Boom! The battle character art's double combat strength was activated. Lu Ming's combat strength sword. He took out his divine artifact battle sword and slashed at one of the black-armored burly men. Lu Ming hadn't fought with his full strength since his cultivation had broken through. This was a good time to practice with this black-armored burly man. Xian Yanqing withdrew his sword radiance and left one of the black-armored burly men to Lu Ming. Clang! Lu Ming's battle sword slashed at the black-armored burly man. There was a loud explosion and both of them shook. Rank 3 Empty God Realm is indeed powerful. Again. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward again, launching a barrage of attacks. Clang! Clang! Lu Ming and the black-armored burly man exchanged blows fiercely. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing was dealing with the 2 black-armored burly men. It was a one-sided fight. Xian Yanqing's combat strength was not much weaker than Xian Yanjuan's. It was naturally easy for him to deal with the 2 rank 3 empty gods. Tongxi stood at the side in a daze. She realized that she couldn't interfere in such a fight and there was no need for her to do so. Poof! Poof! After dozens of blows, the 2 black-armored burly men were killed and blood splattered everywhere. How can this be? How can this be? Old Man Zhao was shocked. He couldn't believe it. The cultivation realms of Lu Ming's group were similar to the information that he had received previously. However, their combat strength had nothing to do with their cultivation realms. It was too terrifying. A rank 1 empty god was actually able to suppress him. Divine power, peerless supreme talent, retreat, retreat. Old Man Zhao was afraid and wanted to escape. However, he realized that he couldn't escape from Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Poof! Old Man Zhao panicked and was even more defeated. Not long after, Xian Yanjuan's sword slashed across his body, leaving a deep wound that almost cut him into 2. Xian Yanjuan's terrifying divine power ran amok in Old Man Zhao's body, causing him to vomit blood and his strength to weaken. In this way, Old Man Zhao was no match for Xian Yanjuan. Poof! Within 2 blows, Old Man Zhao's eyes were destroyed by Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Ah! Old Man Zhao screamed and attacked wildly. Old man, I'll send you on your way. Xian Yanjuan said coldly. The sword radiance slashed again and in the next instant, Old Man Zhao's head flew out. A level 4 empty god realm existence was killed. Old Man Zhao's eyes were wide open and he died with remaining grievances. He had never imagined that he, a rank 4 empty god, would die in the hands of a rank 1 empty god. The brawny man who was fighting with Lu Ming was almost scared to death when he saw that the others had been killed. He panicked and Lu Ming seized the opportunity to kill him. At this point, the 4 experts from Yuan Luo Hall were all killed. My cultivation is still too weak. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming's shortcoming was his cultivation. His current cultivation was only that of a 3-star heavenly emperor. If his cultivation broke through to the empty god realm, killing these clowns would be a piece of cake. The few of them kept the storage rings of Old Man Xiao and the other 3. It seems that Yuan Luo Hall also has people on the myriad gold star. These 4 people are probably only a part of them. Tong Shi said with a grave expression. Let's leave this place first. Be careful in the future. Lu Ming said. In a flash, the 4 of them left the place. They did not hunt any wild beasts. They ran for hundreds of thousands of miles before stopping and continuing to hunt wild beasts. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed and they arrived at a mountain peak. Why aren't there any wild beasts in this area? Tong Shi whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan nodded. They had patrolled the area and did not encounter any wild beasts. This area was quiet. Chapter 2590. Could this area be the territory of some powerful desolate beast? Xian Yanqing suddenly said. Lu Ming and Tong Shi's expressions changed. This was very likely. Many powerful desolate beasts had the concept of territory. Some powerful desolate beasts would occupy a territory, and other desolate beasts would not dare to stay in this territory. Let's be careful, Lu Ming said in a low voice. Immediately, they withdrew their auras and wanted to retreat in the direction they had come from. There are many living beings on that mountain. They are not metallic life forms, but flesh and blood life forms. At this moment, Xian Yanjuan looked at a mountain peak not far away and said, life forms of flesh and blood? Then they are just like us outsiders. Lu Ming said. He did not doubt Xian Yanjuan's senses. Xian Yanjuan had completely awakened the memories of her past life. Her current life had merged with her past life. Her methods were simply unfathomable. Let's go take a look, Xian Yanqing suggested. Everyone nodded and carefully moved towards another mountain peak. Not long after, they climbed up another mountain peak, found a secluded place, and looked ahead. Immediately, they saw a group of living beings. There were about 20 of them. Among them, there were living beings with a single horn on their head, snake men, and living beings with scales on their skin. There were at least 6 or 7 races among the 20 people. Some of them wore black battle armor, exactly the same as the 3 black-armored brawny men they had met before. They are from the Yuan Luo Palace. Tong Shi whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan's eyes flashed with cold light. They realized that the Yuan Luo Palace people seemed to be very careful. They hid in the shadows and looked in other directions. They did not notice Lu Ming's group at all. They looked in the direction the people from the Yuan Luo Palace were looking and saw a giant metal eagle at the bottom of a cliff. There was also a cave. From time to time, golden rays of light would spread out from the cave. Could it be that there are treasures in that cave? Lu Ming and the others were all smart people. When they saw this situation, they thought about it and understood what was going on. Clearly, there were treasures inside the cave. However, there was a terrifying giant metal eagle guarding outside the cave. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace didn't dare to make a move. They were hiding there, waiting for the giant metal eagle to leave. Then let's be the Oriole. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. The rest nodded as well. After that, they also waited here. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Caw, caw. At this moment, the giant metal eagle cried out. Its body that had been lying on the ground also stood up. Its cold eyes scanned the surroundings. Then with a flap of its wings, its huge body soared into the sky. Lu Ming and the others hurriedly hid in the shadows. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This giant metal eagle was absolutely terrifying. If he was discovered, he would be done for. Soon, the giant metal eagle soared into the sky and flew into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace turned into streaks of rainbow light and rushed towards the cliff. What should we do? Tong Shi looked at Lu Ming and the others. There were so many people in the Yuan Luo Palace. There were many experts among them. No matter how strong Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan were, they wouldn't be a match for them. Borrow a knife to kill. No, borrow a bird to kill. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Tong Shi's eyes lit up. At this moment, more than 20 people from the Yuan Luo Palace had rushed to the bottom of the cliff. They left a few people to guard the entrance of the cave while the others rushed into the cave. Wait for me here. Lu Ming's figure flashed and left the mountain. After descending the mountain, Lu Ming took out a battle sword and poured the power of the ruler into it. Whoosh! A shocking sword ray soared into the sky, piercing through the firmament. Even from far away one could see it. Then, the sword light slashed violently towards the cave. Damn it! The people guarding the cave were instantly enraged. They all moved to block the sword light. Rumble! Sword Qi soared into the sky. Lu Ming turned around and left after slashing with his sword. His goal wasn't to deal with the people of the Yuan Luo Palace, but to cause a commotion and lure the giant eagle back. Now that he had achieved his goal, he naturally left. Caw! In the distance, a loud cry resounded through the sky. The giant metal eagle had clearly seen the sword gleam and returned at top speed. Damn it, damn it! Angry roars came from the cave. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace all rushed out of the cave. The leader of the group, the bald man, roared furiously. Who is it? The bald man emitted a cold murderous aura as he looked at the gatekeepers. It's a youth. One of them said. Caw! An ear-piercing cry resounded. A black dot appeared in the distance. The giant eagle had returned. Run! The bald man roared furiously as he ran madly into the distance. He was furious. He had just entered the cave and hadn't even taken the treasure, but someone had already alerted him. The giant eagle had returned. Now, he could only run for his life. More than 20 experts of the Yuan Luo Palace ran madly. Caw! The ear-piercing sound came closer and closer. The giant metal eagle was too fast. Its wingspan was at least 100 meters wide. It chased after the people of the Yuan Luo Palace like a bolt of lightning. Ah! In the distance, a miserable scream sounded, as well as an angry roar, gradually disappearing into the distance. Let's go! Lu Ming's group seized the opportunity and rushed into the cave. There wasn't much time left. They had to seize the opportunity to take the treasure and leave. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in danger. They rushed to the entrance of the cave like 4 rays of light and rushed in without hesitation. There was a tunnel inside the cave that was 100 meters long. They rushed through the tunnel and appeared in a giant cave. They were startled as soon as they rushed into the cave. This cave was overflowing with light and color. There were all kinds of different colored metals, shining brilliantly. Moreover, many of the metals were in the shape of plants and had metal flowers blooming. But other than these, there was nothing else. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed that a part of the wall was slightly different. There was a part of the wall that was slightly different in color. Lu Ming walked over. When Lu Ming walked over, the part of the wall that was different in color actually started to wriggle. It was actually a pool of liquid metal. It was motionless earlier, but now that Lu Ming walked over, it started to move. The golden liquid metal quickly wriggled and turned into a metal ball. With a whoosh, it flew in another direction. A metal ball. The 4 of them were astonished. Could it be that the treasure was this metal ball? Grab it. The 4 of them did not hesitate and rushed toward the metal ball from 4 directions. Chapter 2591. Swoosh, swoosh. The metal ball was extremely fast. It was like a bolt of golden lightning as it flew around the cave. The 4 of them were unable to stop it. Stay here. Lu Ming used his sovereign Dao to cover the area as he tried to grab the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be afraid as it quickly retreated. Xian Yanjuan was on the other side. She reached out her hand and was about to grab the metal ball. However, the metal ball suddenly expanded and became a large ball with a diameter of a few meters. It collided with Xian Yanjuan's palm. Boom! There was a loud explosion and Xian Yanjuan's body shook as she was pushed back. What a terrifying power! Everyone's hearts trembled. Although Xian Yanjuan's cultivation was only at rank 1 empty god realm, her divine power was strong enough to fight against a rank 4 empty god realm expert. However, she was pushed back by the metal ball. The metal ball was pushed back by Xian Yanjuan and it flew towards Tong Shi-er. Tong Shi-er's face changed. She did not have Xian Yanjuan's power. A long sword appeared in her hand and she stabbed it towards the metal ball. However, at that moment, a shocking scene appeared. A big mouth suddenly appeared on the smooth surface of the metal ball. The golden and dazzling metal formed fangs. The mouth opened and bit towards Tong Shi-er's long sword. There was a cracking sound and Tong Shi-er's long sword was bitten off. The metal ball swallowed the front part of the sword and started to chew. This Lu Ming and the others looked at each other. Tong Shi-er's long sword was a sacred weapon. Although it was only a lower rank 1 sacred weapon, it was extremely hard. However, the metal ball had bitten off her sword and was eating it. How could the metal ball be so powerful? What made them even more speechless was that there was a pair of eyes above the metal ball's mouth. The eyes were squinted and it looked like it was enjoying itself. It was a metal ball that had intelligence. The few of them had the same thought. Treasure. This was definitely a treasure. A lump of metal actually gave birth to intelligence. It was definitely extraordinary. Swoosh. Swoosh. Everyone moved again and pounced toward the metal ball. However, the metal ball was very slippery and smart. It seemed to have noticed that Tong Shi-er was the weakest among the 4 of them, so it charged directly at her. Tong Shi-er no longer dared to use her divine artifact to attack. She could only circulate her divine power and wrap it around the metal ball. However, the power of the metal ball was extremely shocking. With a single collision, it knocked away Tong Shi-er's god force. Tong Shi-er's body trembled as she was knocked away. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Her strength was not enough to fight against this metal ball. However, Lu Ming arrived just in time. He waved his hand, and his sovereign power formed a giant hand that grabbed at the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be extremely fearful of the sovereign's power, and a look of fear appeared in its eyes as it quickly retreated. Lu Ming, this metal ball seems to be afraid of your sovereign power. I'll trap it while you grab it. Xian Yanqing shouted. Her whole body was filled with black light. Numerous black lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. On the other side, Xian Yanjuan also attacked with all her might. Numerous snow-white lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. Swoosh! The metal ball charged towards Xian Yanqing and collided with the black lotuses. Bam! Bam! Those lotus flowers kept exploding. However, after they exploded, even more lotus flowers appeared and blocked the metal ball. Lu Ming rushed over and grabbed with both hands. His sovereign power formed a giant net that enveloped the metal ball. The metal ball was directly enveloped by the sovereign power's net. It charged left and right, but strangely, it could not break out of the net formed by the sovereign power. Lu Ming began to shrink the sovereign power and the net became smaller. In the end, the metal ball became obedient and stayed there motionless. Finally, Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball in his hand. So heavy! When Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball, he almost lost his grip and dropped it to the ground. This was extremely shocking. Although all the matter in the primitive universe could not be compared to the Heaven Realm's primordial realm and its mass was many times greater than the Heaven Realm's primordial realm, Lu Ming almost lost his grip on such a metal ball. Its weight was probably more than several mountains. Just as Lu Ming was about to examine it carefully, a sharp thorn suddenly appeared on the metal ball. This thorn was extremely sharp. In an instant, it pierced through the sovereign power covering Lu Ming's hand and pierced through Lu Ming's skin. A stream of blood flowed onto the metal ball. Lu Ming was shocked and almost threw the metal ball away. Fortunately, the metal ball did not continue to move. The stream of blood seeped into the metal ball and disappeared. Streaks of dark red light flashed across the surface of the metal ball before disappearing in a flash. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that the metal ball had become lighter, as if it was weightless. This is... Lu Ming was a little stunned. Lu Ming, it seems that you and it are fated to be together. It has recognized you as its master. Xian Yanjuan walked over and said. There was a trace of envy in his eyes. There were not many things that could make Xian Yanjuan envious. It has recognized me as its master? Lu Ming was also a little stunned. If I'm not wrong, this should be a kind of metal life form bred by the heaven and earth's origin. This kind of metal life form is very rare in the vast primitive universe. It is very precious. Now that it has recognized you as its master, it must be fated to be with you. If you nurture it well in the future, it may become a great help to you. Xian Yanjuan said. On the side, Xian Yanqing showed a look of joy. Tong Shi-er showed a trace of envy. However, this time, she almost did not help. It was completely Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing who caught the metal ball. She could not say anything. Let's go, let's get out of here, Lu Ming said. They did not have much time and could not waste any more time. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in trouble. Immediately, they rushed out of the cave and chose a direction opposite to where the people from Yuan Luo Hall had escaped. Soon, they disappeared from the place. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, an ear-piercing screech was heard. The wind whistled and the giant metal eagle returned. It landed at the entrance of the cave and seemed to sense something. Then, it let out an angry screech. Caw, caw, caw. The giant metal eagle seemed to have gone mad. It flapped its wings and slashed everything like a blade. Everything that was slashed by its blade-like wings, regardless of whether it was the metal plants or the metal ground, exploded and turned into pieces that flew in all directions. Swoosh! Then, it soared into the sky and swooped down, wreaking havoc on the ground. A level 7 empty god realm giant metal eagle was terrifying. Its destructive power was shocking. It went berserk and destroyed everything nearby before gradually flying off into the distance and disappearing from sight. After the giant metal eagle left, a figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the cave. It was the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall. He rushed into the cave, but not long after, he rushed out of the cave. Ah, damn it, damn it. Who is it? The bald man roared with a ferocious face. Chapter 2592. The bald man from Yuan Luo Hall was infuriated. He understood that they had been cheated miserably. Previously they had more than 20 people. However, they had been chased by the giant metal eagles and almost all of them had died. He was the only one who had survived. Moreover, when he had rushed into the cave, the treasure had disappeared. It was obvious that someone had taken the opportunity to take away the treasures in the cave while the giant eagle was chasing after them. If I find out who it is, I will turn you into ashes and die without a burial place. The bald man roared furiously and left the place in a flash. They ran until they had left the forest and crossed a plain. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they entered the next forest. This guy, Lu Ming, realized that the metal ball was lying on his shoulder like a puddle of liquid metal. Lu Ming did not pay much attention to it. He teamed up with Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan and Tong Shi-er and started hunting wild beasts for their beast cores. Bam! Bam! 2 giant metal bears appeared in front of them. Their auras were terrifying and they were both level 3 empty god realm existences. This forest was more dangerous than the previous one. They had just entered and they had already encountered 2 level 3 empty god realm existences. Let me do it. Lu Ming dashed over, constantly activating the battle formula at the same time. After a few times, the fight character manual activated the double combat strength. Lu Ming and the 2 giant metal bears engaged in a fierce battle. Only in a big battle could one be honed. Level 3 empty god realm existences were just right for Lu Ming. Roar! Roar! The giant metal bears were about 10 meters tall and they had immense strength. When they slapped their paws, there was a whistling sound and a raging wind blew. Lu Ming used his sacred weapon combat sword to block the attack. He slashed out a few times and fought with the giant metal bears. In an instant, the 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan did not take any action and they watched from the side. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming and the 2 metal bears clashed continuously, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The 2 giant bears were furious, roaring like thunder. The power of the bear paws grew stronger and stronger, causing Lu Ming to feel great pressure. There were a few times when he was almost hit by the bear paws. Yes, that's the feeling. Lu Ming was not surprised. Instead, his eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. The pressure and the sense of danger were the only things that could help him improve faster. Whether it was the Tao of the Sovereign Lord or the battle character incantation, they were both very useful. Kill! Suddenly, Lu Ming let out a long howl and rushed towards a giant bear. The giant bear roared and also sent out a palm strike. Lu Ming's body tilted slightly to the side, avoiding his vitals and allowing the palm to land on him. At the same time, his battle sword slashed towards the giant bear. Bang! Lu Ming's body shook violently as if he had been struck by lightning. However, at the same time, his sword also landed on the enormous bear's chest, leaving behind a deep sword wound on the enormous bear's chest. Roar! The giant bear was enraged, and its killing intent grew stronger. It wanted to charge towards Lu Ming, but at this moment, something strange happened. The metal ball that had been lying softly on Lu Ming's shoulder suddenly turned into a rainbow light and rushed over. The metal ball's body turned into a sharp spike and pierced towards the giant bear's chest. Puh! The giant bear's chest was pierced through, and a hole appeared. The metal ball flew out of the giant bear's back and turned back into a circle. In the middle of the circle, a mouth full of fangs and eyes appeared. On both sides, liquid metal extended out like 2 tentacles. On the tentacles was a piece of dazzling metal. This was the beast core of the giant metal bear. Bang! As for the giant bear, it fell straight to the ground, no longer breathing. What made Lu Ming and the others even more flabbergasted was that the metal ball actually swallowed the beast core in one gulp and began to chew it. The remaining giant metal bear roared and actually revealed a terrified expression. It turned and ran. Swish! The metal ball once again turned into a rainbow light and charged towards the giant metal bear. The metal bear's defense was useless against the metal ball. It was directly pierced through by the metal ball, and a hole appeared in its chest. The beast core naturally fell into the metal ball's hands. Crunch! The metal ball stuffed the beast core into its mouth and began to chew it. Its eyes revealed a very human-like expression of enjoyment. This works too. Lu Ming was in a daze. Judging from the aura of the metal ball, it should be at level 1 Empty God Realm. However, the two giant metal bears at level 3 Empty God Realm were powerless against it. It was as if the metal ball could restrain these metal life forms. Then, Lu Ming's heart ached. The two level 3 Empty God Realm beast cores had been eaten by the metal ball. This was worth 40 divine gems. You can restrain these metal life forms? Lu Ming walked over and picked up the metal ball. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few times with its big mouth and revealed a proud expression. It seemed to be saying that this was a given. Lu Ming was overjoyed. All right, help us hunt the metal beasts in the future. However, you can't eat the beast cores. You have to give them to me, Lu Ming said. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few more times and its entire body was spinning. It was obvious that it was rejecting Sumo. You don't agree? If you don't agree, I will stuff you into my storage ring and you won't get a single piece. Lu Ming threatened. The metal ball chewed with its big mouth and its eyes revealed a furious expression. Then I will keep you in my storage ring. Lu Ming did not compromise. After a round of bargaining, he finally reached an agreement with the metal ball. Half of the beast cores that the metal ball hunted would be given to Lu Ming, and the other half would be left for the metal ball to eat. Each of them would take half. After discussing, they set off. Not long after, they encountered a few more wild beasts. However, after the metal ball took action, these wild beasts were terrified. They were easily killed by the metal ball and their beast cores were taken away. The metal ball passed half of the beast core to Lu Ming. It stuffed the other half into its mouth and started munching on it. Lu Ming and the rest were overjoyed. This way, their efficiency in hunting for beast cores would be greatly increased. Following that, they rampaged through the forest. The speed at which they hunted desolate beasts greatly increased. Lu Ming realized that even if they encountered a level 4 Empty God Realm wild beast, the metal ball could easily kill it. It was just slightly more troublesome. Most of the time, Lu Ming and the rest did not have to do anything. Sometimes, when they met a suitable opponent, Lu Ming would have to stop the metal ball to have a chance to train. In the blink of an eye, they had stayed in the forest for 3 days. In these 3 days, they had gained a lot. They had obtained more than 1,000 beast cores from level 1 to level 4 Empty God Realm. If they were to convert them into divine gems, they would be worth more than 20,000 divine gems. It had only been a few days and they had gained a lot. Everyone smiled. Chapter 2593. That day, they came to a valley and encountered a nest of metal lizards. There were at least 20 of them and they ranged from level 1 to level 4 Empty God Realm. Swoosh! The metal ball charged out and killed a level 4 Empty God Realm metal lizard. Then, it charged towards the other lizards. Leave 2 of them for me. Lu Ming also charged over. His combat sword swept across the sky and blocked 2 level 3 Empty God Realm lizards. They engaged in a fierce battle. In the past few days, he had fought with the metal desolate beasts from time to time. His understanding of the battle character skill had deepened and the chances of activating the battle character skill to double his combat strength had increased. They did not realize that a figure had appeared on a mountain peak far away from them. That person was the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall. He had been searching for the past few days and had accidentally come to this place. When he heard the battle, he came over to take a look. As soon as he saw it, his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It's that treasure. His eyes were fixed on the metal ball. Previously, he had rushed into the cave and seen the metal ball. Just as he was about to take the metal ball, the metal eagle had returned and he could only run away in a hurry. Now that he had seen the metal ball, He immediately knew who had tricked him. It was Lu Ming and the rest. Tongshi, it's them. I sent out a few men but they did not kill them. Damn it, I want all of you to die. The bald man's eyes revealed a cold expression, as well as a deep sense of greed. The metal ball could easily kill the metal desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. If he could obtain it, he would be rich. He moved his body and dashed toward Lu Ming and the rest silently along the ground. He was very cautious. Although Lu Ming and the rest did not seem to have a high cultivation level, there was a level 4 empty God realm martial artist among the men that he had sent out. However, he had not returned. Therefore, he planned to use a sneak attack to kill them first. He was extremely fast and soon, he was close to Lu Ming and the rest. Who is it? Xian Yanjuan's eyes suddenly turned in a certain direction. Holy light spread out, forming a battle sword, and slashed out. Whoosh! Wherever the sword light passed, the metal trees were split in half. Boom! On the other side, divine force erupted, powerful energy rampaging. A figure rushed into the sky, revealing itself before everyone's eyes. His spiritual perception is so sharp. Furthermore, his divine power is so strong. The bald man from the Yuan Luo Hall was shocked. He had already restrained his aura, but he was still discovered by Xian Yanjuan. At the same time, the power of Xian Yanjuan's sword had shocked him. A level 1 empty God realm martial artist's divine power was not weaker than a level 4 empty God realm martial artist. A monster. The righteous army actually has a monster like this. We must get rid of him. The bald man roared in his heart. It's him. At this moment, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others all recognized the bald man. They had seen him from afar before. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and dodged the attacks of the 2 lizards. Then, the metal ball rushed over and killed the 2 lizards. He took out their beast cores and placed them on Lu Ming's shoulder. Tongshi, you guys are still alive. It seems like the person I sent is already dead. The bald man said ferociously. That's right. We killed him. Tongshi said. However, her expression was grave. This bald man gave her a lot of pressure. He was definitely a terrifying expert. Then, you guys were the ones who alerted the giant metal eagle and lured it back to the cave? The bald man sneered, his eyes flashing with a fierce light. Looks like you're not stupid. Lu Ming said coldly. Kid, give me that metal ball. The bald man looked at the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder, the greed in his eyes growing. You want it? Come and take it yourself. Lu Ming said. You're digging your own grave. The bald man moved and dashed towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Swoosh! Swoosh! As soon as the bald man moved, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan moved as well. 1 black and 1 white sword radiance covered the bald man. Get lost! A saber appeared in the bald man's hand. Saber radiance flashed and he slashed towards Xian Yanqing and Tongshi, trying to shake off their sword radiance. Level 5 Empty God Realm. As soon as the bald burly man made a move, Lu Ming could tell his cultivation level. Level 5 Empty God Realm was definitely powerful. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan did not dare to go head-on with the bald man. They changed their swords and transformed into more than 10 sword radiances. They avoided the bald man's saber and stabbed towards his vital parts. Get lost! Get lost! The bald man roared and slashed out with his saber. However, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's combat skills were too powerful. They could avoid him completely but they could still attack his vital parts. The 2 of them joined forces and their sword radiances flashed continuously. The bald man could not get past them for a while. Bam! At that moment, a cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He took a step forward and dashed towards the bald man. He slashed his sword at the bald man's head. Get lost! The bald man roared and his divine power surged out like a flood. When Lu Ming's saber hit the divine power, it was as though it had hit a mountain. Boom! Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him and he could not help but retreat. Level 5 Empty God Realm. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt his arm go numb and the blood in his body surged. Crack! At that moment, the metal ball threw a beast core into its mouth. As it chewed, it dashed towards the bald man. As it dashed out, the metal ball changed rapidly. It turned into a big ball with a diameter of a few meters and smashed towards the bald man. Dong! The bald man's saber hit the metal ball and there was a loud bang. The metal ball was sent flying. However, The bald man's saber force was also slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's sword radiances surged. They were like two streaks of rainbow light that shot towards the bald man. "Get lost!" The bald man roared, and his saber slashed out horizontally as if it was capable of sweeping away 1,000 armies. A crescent-shaped saber radiance shot out in all directions. This was a large-scale attack. Although it consumed a lot of divine power, it was very useful in this situation. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan could not help but retreat. Although they could kill a level 4 empty god realm martial artist with their powerful combat skills, they were no match for a level 5 empty god realm martial artist. "Die, you brat!" After forcing Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan to retreat, the bald man charged towards Lu Ming ferociously. "Go!" Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball dashed out towards the bald man. However, the metal ball was sent flying by the bald man's saber. Chapter 2594. The metal ball was extremely heavy, and its explosive power was comparable to that of a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. However, it could not block the bald man's attack. Tong Shi was extremely anxious at the side. However, with her strength, the difference between her and the bald man was too great. She would only die if she went up. "Die, you brat!" The bald man roared. When he saw the metal ball following Lu Ming, he wanted to kill Lu Ming. He wanted to get rid of Lu Ming first. Lu Ming squinted his eyes and retreated quickly. At the same time, he unleashed his sovereign power to its maximum. Swoosh! The bald man's saber radiance was dazzling as it slashed towards Lu Ming. As Lu Ming retreated, he slashed out with his sword and it clashed with the bald man's saber. Dang! As the saber and sword clashed, sparks flew. Lu Ming felt a terrifying power surging towards him. His body shook violently and he flew out like a cannonball. He crashed into the wall of the valley and even the metal wall cracked and caved in. Poof! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt as if his arm was going to break. The sacred weapon in his hand had a chip on it. Lower rank 5 sacred weapon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The bald man's saber was a lower rank 5 sacred weapon. His combat sword was only a lower rank 3 sacred weapon. It was normal for it to have a chip on it. In the primitive universe, divine weapons were divided into low-grade divine weapons, middle-grade divine weapons, high-grade divine weapons, and supreme-grade divine weapons. There were 4 grades. Every grade was further divided into 9 ranks. The combat sword in Lu Ming's hand was given to him by Bai Ya. It was a lower rank 3 sacred weapon, and it was the highest grade sacred weapon that Lu Ming had. Boom! At that moment, the metal ball charged towards the bald man. It had become bigger and its diameter was 10 meters. It was like a small hill as it smashed towards the bald man. Xian Yanjuan, Dark Sacred Light Skill. Xian Yanqing sent a message to Xian Yanjuan. "All right." Xian Yanjuan nodded. Boom! Boom! Their bodies emitted resplendent light. One was black and the other was white. It was like a black sun and a white sun. Then, the black light and the white light intertwined to form a cage that enveloped the bald man. Boom! The bald man struck the cage with all his might, but it didn't break. This was the Dark Holy Light Cage. Only Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan could use this secret technique together. Back when the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm were fighting, the two of them had worked together to trap Saint Ancestor Xueqi for a while. At that time, their cultivation was only at the half-martial realm, but they were able to trap the Empty God Realm Sacred Ancestor Xueqi. Now that both of them had broken through to the Empty God Realm, their cultivation techniques had undergone a transformation, allowing them to control divine force. When they executed this move, it was much stronger than before. Boom! 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 The bald man went berserk. Dazzling saber radiance flashed as he launched a frenzied attack. However, all of his attacks were blocked by the Dark Holy Light Cage. Lu Ming attack! Xian Yanqing shouted. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. He exerted all his strength and slashed out with his combat sword. Streaks of sword chi flew towards the bald man as though they were free. At the same time, Tong Shi attacked with all her might. At the same time, she took the opportunity to hit the bald man with the metal ball. The Dark Holy Light Cage didn't stop Lu Ming and the rest at all. Their attacks landed on the bald man as much as they wanted. At that moment, the bald man was like a live target for Lu Ming and the rest to attack. The bald man waved his saber with all his might to block the attacks from Lu Ming and the rest. However, the dark holy light cage that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had executed could not only trap him but also attack him. Black and white lotuses appeared in the dark holy light cage and turned into streaks of sword qi. They danced in the air and attacked the bald man. In an instant, the bald man was flustered and could only defend himself with all his might. However, he could only defend himself and couldn't attack. He was reduced to a live target, and there were times when he let his guard down. Poof! A streak of black sword radiance slashed across his body and a deep sword wound appeared. Blood flowed out from the wound. He roared and retreated quickly. He crashed into the dark holy light cage. A streak of white sword radiance flashed and his chest was almost pierced through. Roar! The bald man let out a beast-like roar. He was a level 5 Empty God Realm martial artist, but he was injured by a few level 1 Empty God Realm juniors. He was furious. Unfortunately, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. After a while, he was no match for Lu Ming. He staggered after being hit by the metal ball. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and almost chopped off his head with his sword, leaving a sword wound that was a few feet long on his chest. With injuries on top of injuries, the bald man's strength started to weaken. "Today, you are the one who will die," Lu Ming said coldly, and his attacks became more violent. "Don't even think about it. Don't even think about killing me," the bald man roared. The aura on his body suddenly surged, and it was as though there was a flame burning fiercely. He was burning his divine power. The bald man was going to fight with all his might. Most people would not burn their divine power unless it was a critical moment. If they burned their divine power too much, their cultivation rank might regress and it might even leave a terrible sequela. It would be difficult for them to raise their cultivation rank in the future. Usually, they would not fight with all their might unless they were in a dangerous situation. However, the bald man had to fight with all his might. If he didn't fight with all his might, he might die here. Boom! Boom! The burning of his divine power increased the bald man's strength by a lot. He broke through everyone's attacks and then slashed heavily on the Dark Saint Light cage. Boom! The Dark Saint Light cage shook violently. Boom! Boom! Then the bald man attacked the Dark Saint Light cage crazily, causing the Dark Saint Light cage to shake more and more violently. Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan's delicate bodies also trembled and their faces turned pale. The bald-headed man continuously attacked with 50 to 60 moves. Moreover, he was specifically attacking a single spot. Crack! That area finally could not withstand the attacks and a crack appeared. Then, the crack collapsed and a gap appeared. Swoosh! The bald man seized the opportunity and rushed out of the gap. He then turned into a beam of light and sped into the distance. "I will take revenge for this sooner or later." He actually did not dare to stay any longer. He needed to find a place to stop burning his divine power and heal his injuries. Otherwise, not only would his cultivation regress, it would also leave behind a terrifying aftereffect. If there were terrible sequelae and he could not raise his cultivation rank in the future, it would be a great loss. Compared to killing Lu Ming and the rest, his future was more important. He would have another chance to kill Lu Ming and the rest in the future. In the blink of an eye, the bald man was nowhere to be seen. What a pity! Lu Ming sighed inwardly. However, he knew that their cultivation ranks were too low. It was shocking that they could force a rank 5 Empty God realm to such a state. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.